A long time ago, I was in Burma. My friends and I were working for the local government. They were trying to buy the loyalty of tribal leaders by bribing them with precious stones. But their caravans were being raided in a forest north of Rangoon by a bandit. So we went looking for the stones. But in 6 months, we never met anyone who traded with him. One day, I saw a child playing with a ruby the size of a tangerine. The bandit had been throwing them away.
So why steal them?
Well, because he thought it was good sport. Because some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Well, we might end up in jail for what we just said. Lately, I've been going through some things that have really got me down. I need someone to help me, someone to come and turn my life and this podcast around. I can't explain it. I can't obtain it. But Phoenix, your love, it's just so amazing. It gets me high up to the sky. And when I think about your hot takes, it makes me want to stomp.
Amen.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That was a remix in and of itself. That's the mayonnaise remix.
That's that Pentecostal remix. There it is.
There you go. Yeah. And yes, this episode is out of order because the whole world is out of order. And Phoenix and I may be dead by the time you listen to this, based on the things that we said before we hit the record button. If we've passed, let this be our final thoughts about the top 5 highest grossing movies of 2008, which includes, if you know Phoenix, God knows what direction any of this is going to go. Mamma Mia, Hancock, Kung Fu Panda, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and The Dark Knight. Oh, all right. Let's very briefly, how have you been since the last time you appeared in Binge Movies? Many years ago. Last time you were on was Turkish movies. Like
Jesus, was that it?
I think so.
Oh my God.
Turkish Star Wars.
Yeah, that was one hell of a show.
What government would you rather be living under right now? Turkish Star Wars government? They're trying to blow up the moon, or Doge?
Definitely Turkish Star Wars. I think working out by punching boulders of rocks is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, we might have to form our own rebel alliance here. For people who don't know, Phoenix and I live on the border of Canada. Phoenix lives, pun intended, eerily close to the international waters of Lake Erie. So when the Canadian front line, when they're, I imagine it's gonna be like the Revolutionary War. I don't know why. when you hear their drums playing, they're coming across from Windsor down through Detroit, coming across Toledo. You'll be the first to hear it from the west, and then you'll also be able to see their battleships coming across Lake Erie when they do a siege of Put-in Bay and Marblehead and all the Erie Islands. When Cedar Point becomes a point of attack. When we have to put snipers up at the top of Millennium Force.
Oh, let's go. This is the revolution I wanted. All right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, by the time you're listening to this, dear listener, if you're from Canada, you may need to come and liberate us. We may be in real trouble. Oh my gosh. I never let you answer the question. I talked all over you. How you been?
I've been all right, man. A lot's gone on. I think I'm not 100% sure. I think we had ended the show by the time we had last spoke. I believe so.
No, we hadn't.
Oh, it hadn't? Well, the show's
you and I have talked.
Yeah.
But not on the record.
Yeah, so the show I was doing that ended. I started a new show, but that one's mostly about musical theater. That one's been a pretty enjoyable experience.
Nice.
Me and one of my coworkers, we talk big musicals, big plays, some that we've seen, some that we've just listened to. We recently, we're in Ohio, so we have Playhouse Square here. So we've gone to a couple shows since then. But yeah, so mostly that's out on YouTube, and that's really what I've been focusing on is that podcast. Trying to get back into film, discussing that, because I saw a lot of this year. I really kind of took sort of the year off from movies. I normally watch about over 120 movies every year.
Yeah.
This year I barely made it to 50.
Wow.
Yeah, just barely. And it was weird. It was a weird year. I was like, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I'm getting back in there because nothing sucked more than like finally watching a movie and everybody's already done talking about it, and I'm like, crap, I didn't get a chance to get my 2 cents in on that. So so got to get back out into it. So I'm gonna try to be more consistent in 2025. That's the word of the year for 2025 is consistency. So.
There you go. You know what my word of the year is for 2025? Yours is consistency. I got one for you. Mm-hmm. Solidarity.
That's a good one too.
Solidarity. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is finding the people of color in my life and crying to them about all my problems. And then asking them to come rescue me from a world of my own making.
Oh man, it's gonna be a long year.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be a long year.
Yeah, that's my way of telling you, rest up, buddy. Because I'm gonna be calling you.
Get some consistent sleep is what.
Yeah, that's right. I'm gonna call and say, Phoenix. I don't know if you know this, but America is unjust.
Oh my god.
Phoenix, I don't know if you're aware. I think I need to inform you. The private prison industry is a new form of slavery.
Get out of it.
You're going to be like, oh, wow, buddy. Thanks for opening my eyes.
That's a snap. So I see you finish reading James Baldwin. Oh, man. Only took us 60 years to slide.
Hey, Phoenix, have you ever heard of this guy? His name is, let me get it straight here. James Baldwin. He wrote some plays.
You
ever heard of him? This guy's got some crazy ideas, man, but it kind of makes sense.
Crazy ideas when it kind of makes sense. Oh my god!
We're kind of joking. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that not a lot of? I'm talking about you personally. Is that not a lot of your experience on social media talking to people like me?
On social media? Or
yeah. Where they're like, "Hey, man, have you ever heard of this thing called racism?"
It does seem like. It does seem like in the social media age, like a lot of things that should be known.
That's right.
Are like finally getting to people. So that's interesting. That's definitely interesting.
Hey, Phoenix, I don't know. Let me show you this quote from let's see, what's this guy's name here? Dr. King. Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
he had some real crazy things to say from it. He was in jail in Birmingham one time. And he wrote this letter.
He wrote this letter in jail. Like, it's like really good. Like,
yeah.
You should totally check it out.
Yeah, hey, yeah, you should give it a read, Phoenix. It might change your life. That is okay. We'll get to these movies. That is my great fear in this world. Even when it comes to movies, it's like when you discover something personally, it can, especially when you're younger, feel like you're the first person to ever discover it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you do read James Baldwin for the first time or listen to him speak, and it is illuminating to your senses, or he is giving words to something that's like an inkling in your mind that you're starting to see. It's a thin line between like sharing the excitement of that discovery because you finally have discovered somebody who is putting words to what you feel,
right, and
also being the last guy to show up to the party and being like trying to school everybody up on something that everybody else knows.
That's quite a conundrum. Yeah.
It's a conundrum.
Yeah.
And it's a conundrum in movies too, right? Like you finally watch a movie and you're like, wow. Has anybody ever thought about the fact that, The Godfather's really a deconstruction of the American dream, and and you show up and everyone's like, "Yeah, man, people been writing reports, essays on that for this a day it came out." And you're like,
huh?
Yeah.
So
sometimes the older I get, the harder it is a little bit to do these podcasts because I feel like anything I could come up with, I feel like that guy who's telling a room full of people who've already lived the experience,
right?
What their experience is based on something he read.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about the lineup that we have is that they were 17 years ago. So
it's true. Well, we're also old as fuck, so we actually lived through this originally.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of this we were around for, so it doesn't feel as dated as it might have. It's not like we're talking movies from 1940s being like, hey.
That's true.
Like,
I don't know if you've been seeing, though, there's a lot of Gen Z people getting into the movie review space. Yeah. They're popping off about Iron Man and The Dark Knight and Mamma Mia, and you're like, what the fuck are these kids talking about? I was there opening night. I was there at the midnight screening at Legacy Village, motherfucker, when The Dark Knight came out. I saw that fucker in IMAX. Who are you talking to?
Right? Like I believe the first film that was shot in IMAX, or like one of the first films that was shot in IMAX.
We're alternating back and forth. Yeah. That was the big claim to do about it. And I can't remember, was the Colorado shooting before this one or before the next one?
I think it was for this one. I believe it was this one. Yeah.
Because I remember which one it was. I remember I was at the midnight screening and they had dogs and cops and all this extra stuff.
Yeah, they were all.
I love these Batman movies so much. I was willing to live through a mass fucking shooting. to sit through one.
I will say, when the new one came out, the Batman with Robert Pattinson. Yeah, they had that same sort of mentality. Like, is this gonna be the same thing? And I was like, you know what? Even if it is, I went and saw that bad puppy 7 times in theater. So I was,
yeah, that's right.
I threw all caution to the wind. So I'm like, I'm talking late screenings too. I was like, yeah, it was like what 1 a.m. Yeah, I'll be there. Like full throated.
All right. Well, let's get started with a movie I had never seen before, not 17 years ago, not 17 days ago. I'm talking about Mamma Mia. It currently has a 55% on Rotten Tomatoes.
You only have 3 more days to get ready for a night out that will have you dancing in the aisle.
You are expecting us.
Yeah.
Mamma Mia is the most fun to be had at the movies this summer.
You sound like you're having fun already. Oh, we are.
There's not an audience anywhere that won't be smiling. This Friday, the summer's biggest party. Mamma Mia. Rated PG-13.
Mamma Mia was directed by Phyllida Lloyd. I'm probably saying that wrong. It was a screenplay by Katherine Johnson, based on Mamma Mia by Katherine Johnson. It's a triumph return of Meryl Streep, Pierce Brosnan, Colin Firth, Stellan Skarsgård, Julie Waters, Dominic Cooper, Amanda Seyfried, and Christine Baranski. The film was released June 30th, 2008 in Leicester Square, July 10th, 2008 in the United Kingdom wide, July 7th, 2008 in Germany, July 8th, 2008, United States. And a budget of $52 million, it made $611.4 million. Illegitimate woman invites her mom's entire hoe phase to her wedding. Let me just say this. If the movie is called Mamma Mia, why is it on a Greek island and not an Italian island?
Wow.
I know the song is Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia. But why wouldn't they just move it to an Italian island? Or is that too...
Of all the issues that you could have brought up with this film, that is the one I never thought of. Like, that is lightweight crazy.
I said this movie, Phoenix, on social media, over at Blue Sky, the last place I'm at. And I have some good things to say about the movie. I said this movie feels as if it were shot on Mars and then sold and then dubbed to sell to Earthlings. It doesn't seem like a movie humans made.
It doesn't.
You're a musical guy, right?
Yes.
You just said that in the opening. You like live theater. You've participated in theater. You're a man of many trades, many interests and whatnot. You like some musical movies. I've seen you comment them online. You're not, so you're not any, I'm not really a musical guy. You are. It's one of the reasons why you're on. Had you ever seen this, and what the hell do you make of it?
Yeah, so I saw this a couple of years ago. It was, I think what had happened was we were doing the show, and one of us, our show, we had a game called Film Code, and somebody would give a clue or whatever, and you'd have to figure out what the movie was. And sometimes we would actually watch the movies. So my guess one week was Mamma Mia. So I was like, you know what? I've been hearing about this movie forever. Let me just check it out. And I sat down and I checked it out. And your description of it feeling like a movie directed on Mars and sold to Earthlings is spot on accurate.
It's wild, man.
Like, I love Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. I will always love Meryl Streep. No matter what she does, no matter how many bad movies she makes, I will always love Meryl Streep. I'm always going to love Amanda Seyfried. I think she's tremendously talented. Yeah. Like, crazy talented. That being said, what the ever-loving hell was this movie? Like,
no clue.
So I know that the music is from the band ABBA. Who has some pretty good tunes. I'm not gonna lie. ABBA goes hard.
They do.
I can't fault them at all for this.
Correct.
But it feels like they literally, like, the last time we talked was Turkish movies, and we talked about Turkish Star Wars.
Doesn't it feel like one of those movies?
Yeah, like how they horned in like shots from Star Wars, but tried to play it off as their movie. Like, like that's what this feels like, because it's like the songs are great, but they don't fit here. Like, the story doesn't match the story of the songs. The vibe is all wrong, and then for whatever reason, these people, I don't know why they cast them. Love them to death. But outside of Amanda Seyfried, none of them can actually sing, like,
or dance,
or dance. So it was like, it was like, really, like, I was like, is this aliens? What is this? Like, because it was freakish. It was so freakish. Especially, there's a scene in particular where Pierce Brosnan's character is singing to Meryl Streep, and like, there's a close up on his face as he's trying what I can only assume is his absolute hardest to belt out these notes. And it looks like it is killing him. It literally looks like it is taking every ounce of power that he has to force these notes out of his throat. And he's not killing it. He's not killing it. It's so strained. It's so bad. And like I probably spent the entire movie just mouth agape, like I no,
it gets crazier and crazier too.
I'm like, why did they make it? Why did they do it like this? And how on earth is this one of the top grossing films of 2008? Like
when Meryl Streep's friends are gender bending and dancing around in the room to cheer her up, and she gets real excited, and she was 59 years old, I believe, when they made this movie. No shame there.
Mm-hmm.
But jumps up out of bed and starts doing splits in the air as they are continuing to lip sync through an ABBA song, or not even lip sync, they're continuing to butcher an ABBA song. And Christine Baranski ends up grabbing like a thing to make a phallus, and she pretends that she's humping the air, and you're going,
yeah.
It's every choice there is bizarre, right? Because okay, you get an A tier cast and you make them into you take a popular Broadway show, you get an A tier cast, whether they can sing or not, because you need to sell the movie, and you stick it in theaters, it's going to make a bunch of money. Why choose, unless it's straight off of the stage? I've never seen Mamma Mia live.
Mm-hmm.
Why choose the bizarreness of the choreography they do for this? Like, the choreography is uncanny, the singing is uncanny, the music is uncanny, the performances are uncanny, the plot makes no sense. Most of the dialogue for the first 10 was hideous. But for the first 10 or 15 minutes, it's very clearly ADR'd to the point that it doesn't even match up with the lip movements of whatever Meryl Streep is saying. And that at that moment, I was like, this feels like one of those Turkish movies that it comes from some other culture that we don't understand, then was dubbed into English and sold to the American market.
100%.
Only it has nothing but wall-to-wall A-list actors and talents, and is kind of gorgeous to look at.
Yes.
Especially compared to the slop that we get from most mass entertainment today.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, this movie looks great. Who's the DP on it? Because I'm going to see what else they've done in something that's more sensible, right?
Yes.
So I'm all excited. I want to who shot this beautiful film. And it's obviously not just the DP. There's camera operators and assistant directors, whatever, but still, right? So who are the people who worked in this movie? So I find the guy. He's a Greek guy. Great. His name's Harris Zambarkalos. And I'm like, great, right? It makes sense. He probably put extra pride into shooting this real Grecian island because, it's close to home and all this stuff. And it's a beautiful place anyway, so, whatever.
No.
And I look and I go, okay, what else did he do? He shot all of the Kenneth Branagh, Hercule, Poirot CGI movies. They're all happening on green screen. He shot the live action Disney Cinderella that happens on green screen.
Cinderella. Oh, ew. Okay.
He shot the Meg 2.
Oh dear.
Which happens on green screen.
Yeah.
This is the last movie, if you look over his IMDb, that this guy shot in the real world.
Wow.
And to me, there's a part of me that crumpled inside.
Yeah.
Because I'm going, clearly in 2008, whether we think this movie's bizarre or not, this guy shot the fuck out of it.
Yeah.
And and they do absolutely insane things in this movie. He somehow still managed to make it semi-visually coherent.
Yeah.
And beautiful to look at. And him and his whole crew. This movie's lit well. It's on practical sets and in real locations. And just, I'm going, and the rest of his career, after helping to make one of the top grossing movies of 2008, is making soundstage slop.
Yep.
One of our great, could have been maybe one of our great DPs is making slop. because that's what the studios are making. They make fucking slop.
And I mean, like this. So like, yeah, that's crazy to me because I mean, like, honestly, this would be my entire reel. Is this like as a DP?
Yeah, right.
It's shot insanely gorgeously. But you know, as someone who's in school right now to get into this industry, I know you take the gigs that you get, and
I'm not faulting him. I'm faulting the industry.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
this is the best that we have to offer this guy is you go set up a camera on a soundstage and we'll just do it all in post. That's fucking sad.
Yeah, sad. That's awful.
That's an indictment on like the degradation of movies that I'm looking back at 2008, a movie that I probably would have reviled in my 20s because I was an idiot. But you know, I was also like a 20-year-old just idiot guy. Right. I would have reviled a movie like this, like, I'm now nostalgic for this movie that I still think is kind of generally crap.
Right.
I'm going.
At least it's shot so well. Like,
yeah, at least it looks like a fucking movie.
At least it looks like a movie. Yeah, that's great.
It looks like a movie. And here's like to your point, I generally like ABBA. I think they've got some bangers, man. They got some good songs.
Yeah.
But the whole time I'm sitting there watching this and I go, because to your point, the plot doesn't really match the songs
at all.
And I'm going, if I like ABBA's music,
mm-hmm.
why don't I just listen to it?
Just listen to ABBA.
Why do I need this? What is this giving me?
So
What's
like
adding?
I think I saw this movie. I don't remember the exact year, but I know it had to be somewhere either in 2020 or just after 2020. And I remember distinctly because one of the movies I watched in 2020, I loved to pieces and only featured like 2 or 3 ABBA songs. And I felt more connected to ABBA in that movie than I did in this one, which uses all ABBA songs. And that was Eurovision Song Contest, right?
Oh, yeah.
So like what killed me is like in that they do this like I guess what you would call it a sing-along or whatever, and they sort of blend different songs. And one of the songs that they did was ABBA's Waterloo. And I'm like, oh my God, they killed that. And so the entire time I'm watching Mamma Mia, I'm like, when are they going to do Waterloo? I'm like, I know this is the big song. Like they got to do it at some point. When do they do it? It's the end credit song. And so imagine my anger, like raging anger. I'm like, so you mean to tell me not only did I sit through 2 hours of you butchering every other ABBA song, but when it finally comes to the one that I want, it's all the way at the end of the movie, and then what you do? You butcher that too. Like, why? Why did I do this to myself? Look, I will forever love Meryl Streep. I swear to God, I will. I will forever love Meryl Streep. I will forever love Amanda Seyfried. I will forgive Colin Firth. But this made me so angry that I was like, I don't know what could possibly be in Mamma Mia 2, but I have zero interest in it. Like, zero interest in it.
Well, my question is, I know ABBA's got a lot of hits, but do they have more than one movie's worth of hits? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like,
or is it the same songs, just in a different movie? Because they don't really have anything to do with the plot. Might as well just bring out old songs out.
Throw them on there. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's not ABBA's greatest hits. It's like ABBA's some like kind of hits. Like,
right. Yeah, this was best of. The next one is more of. I know I'm getting old because as I was watching this, my proclivities towards women they're changing. We've talked about this. We'll leave it at that.
Right.
But I found myself going, Meryl. An attractive woman.
Oh yeah. I've been there for a while.
I was like, I don't know if it's the overalls. I'm not sure what it is, but she's kind of all right. And Amanda Seyfried, just I recognize her beauty. She's a beautiful woman.
Right.
And she's my literal age. We're the same age.
Right.
And so it would not be weird for me to be like, oh, and if I saw her today, I would say, oh, well, of course. But because she's so young here.
Yeah.
That I was not infatuated with her character.
Right.
The way that the movie kind of puts her out there of like, oh, she's the pretty young girl, and this is she's the heroine of the film, and blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, but what's Meryl doing? What's what's Meryl doing? What's she up to?
I see how she got 3 baby daddies.
Does she want a 4th?
Well, me next,
yeah, I'd go to Meepos. I'd go to wherever she's at. Right? I guess my point is, who the fuck wouldn't go to that island and fall in love with Meryl Streep?
Seriously.
That says nothing of her talent here. And here's what I will say to people who are going to flame us in the comments because people love this movie. I will quote the late, great Roger Ebert, who said in his review, "This movie wasn't made for me. It was made for people who will love it, of which there may be a multitude. The stage musical has sold 30 million tickets, and I feel like the grouch at the party. So let me make that clear and proceed with my minority opinion." Then he trashes the movie.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, right?
100%.
Is that this is not for me. This wasn't made for me. I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that it's so crazy and bizarre for such a long period of time that by the end of it, I didn't hate it.
Mm.
But I never want to watch. I don't have an impulse to ever watch it again, right? And I what it felt like to me is at least these people are having fun. At least the people who are making a movie seem to be having a genuinely great time. And again, I hate to be the guy that's like, movies aren't as good as they used to be. But when you go to the theater and you see a $400 million Marvel movie that looks like slop, and everybody looks miserable because it's the 4th time they've shot the entire movie. And people don't even know what movie they're in anymore because they're taking scenes from this thing they shot 5 years ago, and there's no artistry to a lot of mainstream entertainment anymore. I'm picking on Marvel, but it's Sony does the same thing. I mean, watch that most recent Ghostbusters. That's obviously been reshot and edited, and it's just slop.
Yeah.
It's just slop together, and you're going, and nobody looks like they're having any fun ever on these movies anymore. They don't.
Right.
At least back then, they went to a real place, and then I looked into it, and the cast is just that they were drunk the entire time.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
And there you go. That makes sense. I think that the cast and crew were drunk on orzo for 6 weeks. They went out there. They shot some shit. And also, I can't fucking blame them. I would have been right there with them. Opa! Bring the cheese out. Set it on fire. Let's knock shots back.
Yeah. And
let's all party.
That so tracks because I'm like, there's whole scenes where I'm like,
what's happening?
What are we doing?
What are we doing here?
Like it's whole scenes where like the plot of the story full on stops.
Yes.
Like, full on stops, and they're just doing whatever. And maybe mostly it's drinking. Sometimes it's like trying on clothes or what. It's like completely just like
you're watching them just do their chores or have their day. It's
they're
crazy.
Like, hey, watch us on vacation. Like, well, I'm jealous, but like, what does this have to do with the story you were telling?
Yeah, what's this got to do with me?
Right. So like, I'm like, yeah, dude. Like again, like it blows my mind because there are people who will swear by this movie.
I know people love it. Yeah.
Truly will swear by it, and I'm like, as a fan of musicals. Man, this is like an insult to my like personal being. Like,
right.
How could you? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In the year of our Lord 2008, how could you put this upon us? But you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just like, I'm so. I agree. This was not for me. Yeah. This did not meet any of my standards or expectations for a musical film, for a ABBA jukebox movie, for a Meryl Streep led comedy. Like it did not meet any of those standards. So yeah, but that's clearly just me.
Wow, yeah, I think we are in the minority opinion with this one.
Which is
I will say, if you're a young man or young woman, but in keeping with the pace of this film, if you're a young man and you are at the altar on your wedding day to a young woman, and the entire wedding ceremony gets hijacked by the mother's sex life, and then the girl you're about to marry says it doesn't matter who her father is. She'll have 3 fathers. And in fact, she doesn't want to get married to you at all. Don't stay with that woman. If that is what is going to happen on your wedding day, the rest of the course of your life is fucked.
Yeah, you're probably on the wrong path, no matter what.
You're on the wrong path, young man. I just kept thinking, I know it's supposed to be funny and cheeky or whatever. I was just thinking, run, young man, run for your fucking life. And there's a whole subplot with him. He's like, I'm going to put this place on the internet. I thought how naive we were in 2008 that we thought it'd be a great thing to take this little small indigenous island with these small indigenous people and put that paradise on the internet to make a little bit of money, you know, so that she can get her bed and breakfast business up and running. When now we've lived through 30 fucking years, it seems like, of Airbnb, and all we've managed to do is create more exploitation, destruction, and income inequality in every beautiful place that we have ever touched.
Pretty much.
So now I found myself watching the movie and going, don't tell anybody where you are. Leave it be. Because you're going to destroy the culture. The culture is going to be destroyed. You're going to have nothing but wall-to-wall TikTokers and Instagram travel vlog influencers all over that fucking place.
Oh, man.
Every YouTuber is going to be going to fucking Oikos or Meepos, wherever the fuck this is, and they're going to ruin it.
They're going to ruin it.
The Greeks won't even be able to live there anymore. And then I realized, you know what this is? Meryl Streep is a colonizer.
Damn.
She's a colonizer. She colonized those people.
Oh my God. We were very naive in 2008. Yeah.
Weren't we? We were like, oh wow, wouldn't that be great if I could go?
It was like, oh, look at that. She saved the business. Way to go.
I wish I could go to Greece and steal somebody's culture and sell it back to them.
Sell it back to them, you know.
Yeah. And make them my servants at my Airbnb.
Oh,
I'm gonna go to Greece, find some old. Think about our thinking. I want to go to Greece, find some old Greek ladies who've already worked their entire fucking life, and have them haul goat's milk for me for my bed and breakfast, so that wealthy Europeans can come and give me their money.
Yep.
Is that not some colonizer shit?
Hey, it was a different time.
Different time, same America, man. We've been bad forever.
Oh my goodness.
But that, like, you know what I mean? Oh, well, we'll come and we'll help the local economy by selling it to other Europeans.
And strip mine all of its culture. Like, it'll be a great thing.
Exactly. And you know what? We'll give back to them by letting them work for us.
Wow.
Like there's never a story where the lady goes over there or the guy, and you go work for the Greek guy who's been running a hotel in his family for 2,000 years. These people have been around since Christ was on the planet.
And that might actually be a good reason for ABBA music, actually, right there, that story. Like, yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, I'm going to come and join in. And now, you know what I'm saying, I'm bringing this lively UK band to your
bringing these Swedes in.
Look at that. Look at this. Look at cultures coming together. There you go.
That's
a much better movie. Look at that. We rewrote Mamma Mia. There you go, guys.
And not only that,
you're welcome.
Is it the more interesting movie too? All the shit that they were doing in her past.
Yeah. That's why I'm like,
I wanted the summer on the Greek Isle where she falls in love with 3 different guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that's
make it like a Nora. The first 40 minutes can be nothing but wall to wall sex. There's the thing: if you make a Mamma Mia prequel, it's a Nora or Red Rocket. It's a Sean Baker film, isn't it?
It's a Sean Baker film. Sean Baker, please remake Mamma Mia.
Do the Mamma Mia prequel.
Do the Mamma Mia prequel, Sean Baker. I'm sure you'll kill it.
I guarantee you that Mamma Mia prequel's in development somewhere. I'm saying that movie needs to be directed by Luca Guadagnino or Sean Baker because it needs to be nothing but wall to wall sex. Yeah. Yeah, Casper No. Yeah, exactly. That movie needs to be nothing but wall to wall fucking for 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
And every sex scene needs to be scored by ABBA, and that's why those songs mean so much to them when they're in their 50s and 60s.
Yes. It's perfect.
They fucked a Waterloo in an orgy.
Now we know why it was Waterloo. You feel it?
Yeah. That's why they're obsessed. That's why 40 years later they're still thinking about Meryl Streep. It was the Waterloo, baby.
It was that Waterloo. You
it was the Waterloo.
Oh my God. Yo, we need to write this down. I'm taking this to Sean Baker myself.
Sean, we got a pitch for you, buddy. Mamma Mia prequel. We open with an orgy. It's Grease. Anything goes. It's part of the culture. We're just representing the culture, brother.
Just representing the culture. It's gonna be great.
They invented the orgy.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We got to move on. We got 4 other movies to talk about.
No, okay, so I give Mamma Mia I give Mamma Mia 6 Waterloos out of 10. Yeah, it's my number 4. It's not the worst of the week.
Jesus. I'm probably gonna go a 5 out of 10. For me, where does that put it? That would probably put it. I think it'll also put it at 4. Yeah, 4 for me.
Okay, all right, moving on. Now this one, brother. Okay, well, you guys got to get there. I'm talking about Hancock, which has a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Hancock, bad guys.
Would you want a cookie?
You're a superhero, for God's sakes. People should love you.
Do I look like I care what people think?
You have a calling, Hancock.
Life here can be difficult for me. I'm the only one of my kind. You deserve better. I will be better.
Hancock, I'm really trying to turn over a new leaf.
Oh my God.
Not okay. Rated PG-13.
Hancock was directed by Peter Berg with a screenplay by Vi Vincent Nyogo.
Yeah,
and Vince Gilligan. Story it was based on his screenplay, not Vince Gilligan. Vince Gilligan was brought in to help this guy's screenplay. There's triumphant return of Will Smith, Charlize Theron, Jason Bateman, Eddie Marsan. And it's triumphant return of a previous guest on the show, my childhood friend Jake Thomas, who you can see on screen at the 47-minute, 3-second mark. I think you competed against Jake in Last Movie Standing, didn't you?
Was it Jake or wait? How many did I do? I know I did one against Darren. And
yeah, I think you did one against Jake.
It may have been. I think.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, he's in this movie.
Okay, cool.
He's at the bank scene right after the guy walks out with Hancock walks out with the severed hand. It pops over to a guy. It's just him reacting. It was released July 2nd, 2008. I saw this movie at a drive-in movie theater. On a budget of $150 million, it made $629.4 million. Belligerent, drunken superhero with a case of the Marty McFlys gets cucked by a PR asshole. This movie has a very, especially the early part. Okay, let me back up here. This movie's not a movie. This is 3 half-assed, half-baked movies that are loosely strung together. And any one of the movies it could have had the potential to be interesting. And instead, none of them are interesting because none of them are fully realized. We get this early movie, which has a lot of that early 2000s visual style of handheld, close up, snap zooms. It's kind of Jason Bourne-esque in the early parts of it. Then they just forgo that visual style. And that's all you need to know about this movie is that they start something and they just forgo it. They just go, okay, we're not doing that anymore. The movie's biggest problem is it needed to be a rated R movie, and there's a rated R cut. I don't care. It needed to be a rated R movie, and it needed to be about 5 years later.
Good point.
Because it's the boys. It starts off trying to kind of be like the boys before the boys, because it's what if a superhero is an asshole and he hired a PR firm to clean up his image, and then we just completely ignore that to get to this heavily telegraphed twist with Charlize Theron's character, and that's a different movie.
That's a different movie, yeah. So, like, my issue with Hancock, I think you nailed it, is that basically tonally, it's all over the place.
Over the map.
But the issue that I think the reason that it is, getting back on the industry, is that they had a script. They had a rated R script. And they kept wanting them to tone it down. So, because they wanted kids and families to be able to, well, not kids, but they wanted younger audiences to be able to go see the movie, right?
Yes.
And that, like, you could argue that was a smarter decision because of the amount of money that it actually ended up making.
Right.
But at the same time, you go, for the movie, like, tonally, it really kind of messed the vibe up because they had to do so many rewrites that essentially the movie that we started with in the beginning changes in the middle and then changes again at the end.
100%.
So
you're like, 3 different movies.
Like, literally 3 different movies. And, like, my biggest issue is I really loved the movie at the end. I really loved that.
You love the movie at the end?
Yes, I love the movie at the end. If
okay.
if we had, like, if that movie had been the beginning and the middle, that would have been a kick-ass movie. We might be talking about a franchise at this point.
Can I tell you something that doesn't really come up until the end?
Mm-hmm.
That is actually very interesting. That goes completely unrealized in this movie.
What's that?
If you made a movie about a superhero, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's been here for a long time, saving people, whatever. But this is not a fantastical world in which there are any other superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of one, or so he thinks. And then he discovers that there's another one of him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a female. But the closer he gets to the female, the more mortal he becomes.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting movie.
That's an interesting movie.
Because he either has to choose to let the world save itself and he becomes a mortal man, or he has to forego his soulmate to save the world.
That's brilliant freaking story right there.
And in the in-between, you can take this guy who's kind of a Superman figure who's all-powerful, and you can solve one of the problems with the Superman character is, how do you stop a guy who's all-powerful?
Right.
So you have to find a way to nerf him. Well, there's an organic way in the story where his power is depleting because he's falling more and more in love with this woman. And that's a very, very interesting, to this day, something we haven't really seen in a superhero story.
At all.
And so that's a very interesting idea. I agree with you. I think that's the more interesting idea, especially now, than the cynical hero who goes to jail and has to get a PR team makeover. That feels very
hokey. Like,
hokey.
Very, very of the 2008 and early 2000s era.
Yes.
So, like, I get it. I get sort of the idea of where that came from. But again, that's a totally different movie. Like,
when you cast Will Smith, you're also positioning, I think on a subconscious level, you're positioning it as, the audience picks up on this, that what you're really saying is, aren't celebrities the real superheroes? You know, and think about what they have to go through, right? Because what they're doing is, superhero, a celebrity in the early 2000s in the TMZ heyday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gets into a drunk driving incident. Well, they got to go to rehab. They got to serve a jail sentence. Got to get a slap in the wrist. Then they hire a PR team.
Right.
And they change their look. And it's like it's trying to satirize all of that, but by putting it in a superhero context. But subconsciously, especially in 2008, you're just trying to feed the audience this line of bullshit of, well, don't you kind of feel bad for Will Smith? In 2008, the answer is no, I don't feel bad for Will Smith. He's had hit. He's had Independence Day. You know, this guy is still, he's maybe not at the exact height of his powers, but this is one of the most popular people on the planet.
Yeah. Like, he's one of the most successful actors on the planet at that time. Like,
correct. He just had I Am Legend the year before in the top 10. I don't feel bad for him. He's got a super hot
Academy Award nominee. No, I don't feel bad.
Exactly. He's got a super hot wife. His kids' careers are just getting started. Like, we didn't know all this shit behind the scenes. At least some of us didn't. So I know. And so I think there's like a subconscious rejection the audience ends up having towards the movie, because it's like, yeah, don't you feel bad for celebrities? And here's the other thing. The movie wants me to feel bad for a PR guy. And then they go out of their way to cast one of the smarmiest assholes who's ever been in anything. Jason Bateman's lane, whether you like him or don't like him, and I don't care for him, is to be a smarmy asshole.
He really nails that character. If you've ever
That's
seen
what
Roadblock,
he's good, right?
He's really, really good at that.
Yes. He's not a sympathetic do-gooder.
It's hard to look at him that way, yeah.
My entire marketing campaign is I'm going to try to convince Fortune 500 companies to develop good PR by giving away their products for free, which, by the way, is a great idea, very progressive. I would be behind it. That's not a PR campaign. That is socialism. And on top, right. And on top of that, I can't imagine that Jason Bateman would ever pitch to anybody, you should just give away your pharmaceuticals for free. And you can slap this logo on your Facebook profile. What the fuck? What, like if you want to nail that, if we're gonna make this movie what it basically boils down to, I've got to like Jason Bateman's character and believe in him and believe in his cause. It's got to be like a Jerry Maguire situation where this guy's had a come to Jesus moment, gotten out of the cynical PR game of just trying to make millionaires billionaires, and he's trying to save the world. And then you have a juxtaposition between a guy who is actually self-sacrificing but has no powers, trying to better the world, juxtaposed to a guy who has all the power but is a selfish asshole. Right now, because all these characterizations are muddled, the plot is muddled. It's a love triangle movie where there is no real love triangle.
Oh my God, bro. Like, you're speaking my language here. Like this, like, honest to God.
They butchered the script.
They butchered, like, because honestly, like, it's so many things, because I don't know where it started. I don't know which story we started with. Like, but like the premise is a solid one. Yes. You have this guy who we believe is one of one, this superpowered individual, and he's sort of an asshole. He's a narcissistic asshole. He's an alcoholic. Yeah. He's not careful with what he does. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, now, let me put a pause there for you. If Hancock is such an asshole, why does he bother saving anybody at all?
Right.
Wouldn't the better movie be there's one Superman in the entire world and he don't help anybody?
I don't know, because then how would you know he was Superman?
Because he's still flying around and shit. He's flying down to the bodega to go get himself some milk, and he's flying back. And meanwhile, kittens are stuck in trees and people are in burning buildings, and he's just zooming past them. On his way to go do whatever the fuck he wants.
I don't know. I like it where he does feel obligated to save people. He just doesn't care how he does it. Like, because I think that character, you got an entry into his flawed mindset in that regard. But I think like where this thing went off the rails is like, I hate saying this because I love him, but I think the casting of Will Smith was really sort of may have been a bad idea, only because I think the idea that you initially wanted was probably that latter half, was probably that story. I feel like that's the rated R version. But the second that you sign up for Will Smith, and you got to understand, this is a guy he's the Fresh Prince. Yep. He's been Men in Black. He's basically a comedic action star, right?
Yes.
So at that point, when you put him in it, you have to lean into the comedy. You sort of have to lean into the charm and the silliness and the vulgarity, of him shoving another dude's head up another guy's ass. Like that's sort of what you have to go for. Right. And the problem with that is then that creates a whole nother situation where it's like, if that's what you're going to go for, you have to go for it the entire movie. And the problem is that
then you end up with Deadpool.
Yeah. Then you end up with Deadpool. But again, at least you would have had it before they did it. Correct. But now you've switched the narrative into something else. And I'm like, not only did you switch the narrative into something else, what you switched it into, I have more interest in than what you started with. So it's
correct.
It's like, dude, I think you messed up. I think this, as much as I love Will Smith, and I do think he did a great job, I would have loved to have seen somebody else in this role, because I think they would have brought something particularly unique to it. The same issue you have with Jason Bateman is I have with Will Smith. It's like, I get it, but I feel like you would have gotten something else out of this if somebody else was in it.
I agree. There was a pitch at one time, allegedly, that Chappelle would be Hancock.
Also wrong.
And I think that's also wrong, right?
Also wrong. Yeah.
I don't know who Hancock should be.
Yeah.
The real answer
especially in 2008. I have no idea.
Right. The real answer is Hancock probably should have been Will Smith after the slap.
Yeah, that probably would have been great.
Right? Because then it becomes like a meta commentary about a guy who's fallen from grace, who's has to hire a PR firm to get his reputation back.
Well, I mean, you know what? Now you got a lot of perfect room for a sequel.
That's what I'm saying.
You got a lot of material for a sequel. So, listen, Hancock 2 is
I think
it's got to be there.
I had it in my notes. I agree with you. I said I think the only person who's casted correctly is Theron.
Charlize Theron. Yeah.
She's the only one that's game for the all three movies that she's in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I got to get into two sensitive subjects here.
Okay.
And this is where I think the movie is really half fucking baked. All three of them. All three of them.
Okay.
One, and I remember this being a talking point at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, we got to go back to 2008.
Right.
There had not been a black superhero since Steel.
Right.
And before that, you had Meteor Man, which is a comedy.
Which is a great comedy.
And then you had Blank Man, which is a comedy.
Which was also a great comedy.
Right?
Right.
The first black superhero in a big budget movie with an A-list black actor, he spends the entire first act in jail.
Yeah.
That was a big talking point of why is our black superhero a drunk who can't be a superhero right, can't really help anybody, and he has to go to jail. You never see Superman go to jail. You never see Batman go to jail. You never see all these
2008,
people.
Yeah.
In 2008.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. That was an interesting talking point. I never really gave that one much credence. Only
that's what I was going to ask. How do you feel? I'm sure you remember when people were pissed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I never really gave that one much credence because my thought process is always I look at what is the characterization, right, of the character. And does that characterization require that character to be in those situations? Again, if we are doing the movie that we started with, I say yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes sense. But if
this would almost make it worse.
Right.
Okay. But follow me with what my line of thinking is. if we're just going to make the first movie, that's where this movie starts, wouldn't it be more interesting if Hancock was already in jail?
Probably, yeah.
Right? He had done something. He was flying while drunk or whatever.
Right.
And here's the thing. He sort of has self-exiled himself there. This isn't, they can't stop him. He's put himself in there. Maybe he's trying to dry out, whatever the case is, right? And then the PR firm approaches him and says, "Oh, we could rehab you, Hancock, and we can get you out of here. We can build you don't have to be in here. You don't have to be. The people need you out there, Hancock." Because he goes through this entire emotional arc in the first act where he ends up like shaving and changing the outfit and becoming a hero again. And you're like, that's the end of the movie.
Yeah. Like,
but then the movie still has another half to go.
Yeah.
So it's like it either needs to be about the love affair, right? And like you said, it needs to be the last half of the movie or last third or the first third. But those two pieces do not go together.
They do not, and it's upsetting because I genuinely like this movie. Like I do. I love the premise. I love the action. I thought the action was great.
Yeah.
And I really do love that third act. So I was like, I'm of the mindset like, dude, seriously, give me Hancock 2. I really want it. And there's room to make it better. Like there's absolutely room to improve upon it.
Really figure the story out. And stick with it. Yeah.
Like there's absolutely room to have figured it out and be able to like truly, do this. So
what's his character arc now, though, all these years later? Because you're just going to revert him back. Is it just basically a reboot, a remake?
No, I think we start with what you just said. Like, say, like he messed up. Let's say he messed up, and he's in a situation where it's like you messed up, and now you have to redeem yourself all over again. Like what you achieved has been erased, and now you have to start over. Or maybe there's someone new. Maybe someone new has been created and now there's a legit threat. I don't know. It all depends on how you want to go about telling this story, because I feel like in today's age, post The Boys, right?
Yeah.
Like telling a story of a subversive sort of superhero is kind of you run the risk of being compared to that. Yep. So it's like,
yep.
You got to strike the right tone for it. So it may end up being the more goofier tone for if you decide to do a sequel.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Than trying to play it straight. But yeah, but I like this movie. I do like it despite all its flaws. I do enjoy it.
When she fills him in on his history, right, and all the different times where they've met and been together, and she makes this. She basically says like every time we get together, they come for us and they come for me and you have to save me. Right? Is the inference we're supposed to draw there that they're specifically coming because they're an interracial couple?
Ooh.
Because she mentions 1850 in the South.
I think that's particularly true.
And 1928 in Miami.
Yep.
I don't feel like anyone either 1850 or 1928 U.S. South.
They weren't coming for you because of your powers. Let's
right. And if they're closer together, they were becoming more mortal. So they think they were mortals because they were just leaving a movie theater after seeing Frankenstein and he got bonked in the back of the head. They were trying to kill him.
So and that is another thing that I distinctly remember about the controversy surrounding race in this movie is that so we have this black superhero who's apparently his soulmate is a white woman, but and
his kryptonite's white women. His
kryptonite was white women.
I don't think that's intentional, right?
No, that's intentional. That's got to be intentional.
You think so?
I think that's absolutely intentional. Because again, you know what? It probably wasn't, but it was definitely like an accidental oopsie that they fell into, and they were like, "Well, let's just roll with it," because it's just
right. I mean, I hate to be forgiving and being like, I just can't. But I could see a world in which the people who make this movie are so out of touch. They don't understand the optics of putting essentially the first modern black superhero in jail at the
Mhm.
beginning of his own movie.
Mhm.
And they also don't understand that his only weakness is white women. Right? He's a god, but he likes white women.
I think honestly, it was just honestly, I think it was like, hey, we're looking to cast this movie. Hey, Will Smith and Charlize Theron have great chemistry.
I think that's it.
That's what it was. And then like all of a sudden, like they saw like the response and they were like,
okay. Now here's my argument to
what
the,
do
to
you
the
do?
other, here's my argument to the other side, Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
If you had black executives in Hollywood at a high level
Mm-hmm.
and let them actually be executives,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Black creatives and black directors and black people on set, and not just black, but for this movie in particular, and people of other cultures and people of other backgrounds, and they actually had some kind of clout.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody could have gone to Will and whoever, because Will always had a lot of power on whatever movie he was in.
Yeah.
Could have gone, hey man, I know she's a big star, but as long as we're rewriting this script for the 20th time, maybe we don't make this blonde white lady your only weakness.
Your only weak. Where you keep getting attacked in the South.
Right. And maybe when you keep getting beat up in the South. And then
oh my God.
Also, we have the whole cuckolding thing where the white husband has
Yeah.
a black guy trying to steal his wife.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh
So,
my
like,
God.
Maybe
But dude, the naivety of 2008
That's what I'm
was
saying.
crazy.
The optics are wild. And actually, technically, since Charlize Theron is technically, the movie says, Will Smith's wife, Hancock's wife, Will Smith is getting cucked by Jason Bateman.
It's all bad. It's just all
and
bad.
she's saying society, like her thing is society won't let us be together. So even though you're the one I really love, I'm going to choose this white man, which is just how
safe.
white women are.
To
It's
be
just how white
safe.
women are.
Right.
To be safe.
To
They're
be
right.
safe.
Right?
Jesus Christ. Oh
Now
my
wait a minute
God.
here. Now wait a minute. How many white women fell in love with black men in the South and then pretended that they didn't know those guys?
That they didn't know who they were.
And those white men took black men took a beating for it.
The optics of this movie are terrible.
They're fucking terrible.
They're so bad. Oh my God. I didn't even realize it.
It doesn't
Oh,
help
my
that I'm currently reading Stamped from the beginning. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. I see the code of the Matrix now. I can see the code.
Oh my God. That's oh man, that's crazy. No, because like that just changed my whole perspective on this movie. Holy cow.
Right?
Like legit, I like this movie. I really do.
Yeah.
I really wanted a sequel. But now
we got
I'm
some
like-
we got some
I'm
stuff to untangle.
yeah, you know what? I think I understand why they never did do the sequel. I think that those optics are so bad that there's no way you can even revisit it. Like,
oh no, but some white executive somewhere wants to make Hancock 2. But and maybe not in Trump's America, but
I think the only way you can do it, the only way you
he
can
has
do
to fall in love with Kiki Palmer.
No, not just that. Like legit, we're just gonna have to go a full blown recast. Like that's the
reboot. Yeah,
that's the only way. Just a complete reboot, like brand new cast. We're gonna have to mannequin to this thing. So just full blown. Everybody turn over.
Full turnover. We're not even going to address the events of the first film. All black cast.
Oh my God. Oh God. Oh man.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. Oh God, this is awful. Okay.
We're joking, but I think we're hitting on like a semi like serious point in the sense of when people advocate for diversity of perspective in the creative arts and filmmaking and stuff like that, for LGBTQIA plus people, for immigrants, for women, for women of color, for Black folks, for Asian folks. They're not just arguing for opportunity's sake.
Right.
They're arguing for when we get opportunities, we're able to bring perspective. So you don't end up with a movie like this where you got a Black guy taking beatings in the antebellum South for Charlize Theron to go live in suburbia with Jason Bateman, and he doesn't even know who he is anymore, and he's left with nothing but alcoholism and jail sentences.
Oh my God!
Right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because her whole story is like, well, after you took that beating, I went to the hospital to see you, but
you didn't remember hairy, who I was, so yeah, so I was like, screw you.
So I ghosted your ass. So like, this guy's on his own.
Oh my God.
She left him in 1920s Miami with no money and no memory of who he was.
You dirty bitch.
After he had just survived a hate crime.
Survived a hate crime for you. Like, for the umpteenth time.
Yeah. For the umpteenth time in this century.
So is him trying to get away from her? Like, is it really him saving her life? Or is it him finally being
saving
like, fuck this bitch? Like,
okay.
It's probably him being like, you know what? This ain't worth it. Let me get away from it.
Is he saving her? Or is he really saving himself?
Yeah,
there you go.
Uh-huh. Big brained.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's the guy on TikTok? What's Doctor? What's his name?
Dr. Umar?
Yeah. Yeah, see, Hancock had to stop drinking that milk, and then he could finally be the hero of the story.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We are never going to get through this.
Nope.
This will be a 3-hour episode. Oh, Jesus.
Does Dr. Umar have a Patreon, and can Phoenix and I give him money to watch Hancock? And do a live commentary?
Let's see a live commentary.
Break this.
You need Dr. Umar on every one of those. Like, you need him on Hancock. You need him on Get Out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, okay. What is your rating for this?
I give it a
whole
3.
rating around after.
Yeah. I give it a 3 out of 10 because a third of it is good.
Right.
It is the worst of the week for me.
Oh, okay. Okay, so this was my number 2. I had to bring it down. Once I understood everything. But I was like, I'm bringing it down just to number 3. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Like I said, I like that third act, and I do like the premise. Yes. I just wish, like, again, that we could have melded the two in one cohesive film instead of 3 separate ones. Yeah. But and I had to move Mamma Mia down to 5th because it actually turns out there is better. And that is probably my worst. Is Mamma Mia. But yeah, Jesus Christ. Wow, what a revelation. Okay. Wow.
All right, we got to move on. From problematic to appropriation, it's time to talk about Kung Fu Panda.
Each year, a forbidden world is opened to a lucky chosen one.
Whoa. The panda?
That's the panda.
He's a little too big and too clumsy. But he'll show them he's got a style all his own.
You're just a big, fat
Panda.
I'm not a big fat panda.
I'm the big fat panda. Jack Black, DreamWorks, Kung Fu Panda. Rated PG.
Kung Fu Panda was directed by John Stevenson and Mark Osborne. It was a screenplay by Jonathan Abel and Glenn Berger, story by Ethan Rafe and Cyrus Voris. It's triumphant return of Jack Black, Dustin Hoffman, Angelina Jolie, Ian McShane, Seth Rogen, Lucy Liu, David Cross, Randall Duck Kim, James Hong, and maybe the triumphant debut of Jackie Chan. I don't think we've ever covered Jackie on the show before.
Oh, wow.
And this film was released May 15th, 2008 at Cannes, and June 6th, 2008 in the United States. On a $130 million budget, it made $631.7 million at the worldwide box office. Dang. Obese panda fanboys over mystical martial arts heroes who will worship him as their chosen one or pay the price with their lives.
Is that really? It's not the description.
He's a chosen one.
Oh my God.
Worship him as your god or die. That's what this movie's about to me.
Poe's gonna eat you alive.
Poe's gonna eat you, yeah. I never saw this before.
Really?
Never seen it.
Oh,
I watched it. And my initial, I have good things to say.
Mm-hmm.
There's a type of kids writing that I hate.
Speak.
And it has influenced how even adult comedies that we now get are written.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this style of writing originated in our growing up time.
Yeah.
I call it Nickelodeon humor.
Ooh.
It's where a character repeats the same word over and over. So, for example,
Nickelodeon humor?
Legend tells of a legendary warrior whose kung fu skills were the stuff of legend. The most heroic heroes. The 10 demons of Demon Mountain. Secret ingredient of my secret ingredient soup. I'm deeply offended by that type of humor. I've hated it ever since I was a kid.
Right.
Because you would watch like Stickly on Nickelodeon, right? And it'd be like, it's Wienerville. And it's funny because they say wiener all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just the Amanda show. It's Amanda's show. It's not your show. It's Amanda's show. We just say the same two words over and over again. It's funny for some reason. And then I had to like give myself a chill pill and go, yes, that's low hanging fruit, but it's made for 6-year-olds and 9-year-olds who need something to be able to reach. So the fruit has to be hanging low, jackass.
Right.
That's what I'm saying to myself. So as a the genre this is kind of aping is no pun intended is like what is it called, like wuxia? Is that how you pronounce
wuxia.
it?
Yeah,
wuxia. And when it finally gets into it and away from the more Nickelodeon kind of aspects of the first part of it, it turns out to be pretty good. And I think covering the 2000s, we're now in the 8th year of the decade, almost at the end, thank God. And most of DreamWorks movies have looked like shit upon revisit, and this one doesn't. This one is the first one that I've watched it. I go, this is actually for a digital animated movie from 2008 by DreamWorks, this is a very good looking movie.
Yeah.
We're not at How to Train Your Dragon yet, and some of the other ones that they'd eventually kind of figure it out. But this is the first one where it's like, it feels pretty close, if not A tier. And I did end up getting a few laughs, in particular Dustin Hoffman's little character.
He's the
the master.
Yeah, okay.
Sifu. Yeah. And the thing about Jack Black, I will say, is that when you dial him down from he's good.
He can be tolerable, yes.
Yes. It's when he's overcompensated into that gimmick that he does. You know, all that shit.
Yeah.
It's he's not likable, but when he dials it back, he's respectable, I think, as an actor. He's likable as an actor. He's tolerable, he said. Which is why I think School of Rock is still like his most beloved and highly rated movie. Because he has those moments of being over the top, but they're the exception, not the rule. For the most of it, he's kind of level.
Sincere.
You know? Yes. He's
way
sincere.
more sincere. Yeah.
That's it. Yes. When he plays sincere, it's better than the whatever the fuck he does. And so this character allows him, I think, a lot more latitude to be sincere, especially after the first act, where you really get into his insecurities and whatnot. So it really turned me off, and then it really won me over. It also doesn't hurt that it's not that long.
True. So this is a movie I think I saw when it came out, and I remember not being all that enamored by it. I was like, it sort of came and went in my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like some years later, I'm like on YouTube or whatever, and I saw a clip from the movie. And I was like, yo, what? This was Kung Fu Panda? I was like, huh. I was like, maybe I need to revisit this. Maybe I dismissed this too easily. And I went back and rewatched it, and it still is kind of like, could keep it or could not.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what does it for me. It's Jack Black's sincerity, and it's the legit terror that I think you would feel as a kid.
Yes.
Facing Tong Lao. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
He's a very effective villain.
Very effective.
Honestly, again, I think you're spot on. This is going to be a boring episode because we're just agreeing the whole time. The third act of this movie is pretty great.
Yes, I agree.
You're like, Jesus, this is like it because it kind of turns serious. It kind of turns, it just kind of locks in, and you're like, oh, they're starting to cook here, man.
Yeah.
Like when they go to the 5 warriors, they go off to go face him. That bridge sequence is really cool.
Ooh, that bridge sequence goes hard.
And then that vista with the fog over the islands that are jutting out, and then like you can't, and he's just like appearing, and then he's it's like you're like, this is good.
Like that's probably the main. It's my main like thumbs up for this movie, but it's also like my main complaint, because I'm like, why isn't more of the movie like that? Like if more of the movie is like that scene, this doesn't pass by. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't.
Right.
It isn't kind of a forgetful film. If more of the movies like that scene, and basically the rest of that third act, like, is the strongest part of like not just the film or the story, but also the animation. So like it literally gives more breadth and character to everybody involved. And I'm like, yes, like I wish like at a good 50% of this movie was that. Like,
I agree.
That's what I wish. So like that's the only thing that kind of makes me go, you know what I'm saying? It's there, but it's kind of forgettable. But it's also the thing that's like the thing that kind of makes the movie. Like,
no, yeah, you're spot on, because you're right. It's almost like the animation opens up and goes to the next level. Where it's like, wait a minute, you could have drawn the whole movie to look like this.
Right.
You could have. Jack Black could have been doing. And I get it. You have to have humor. You want to keep the attention of 6-year-olds. I understand that. But I just feel like the movie raises the bar on itself, goes to a whole nother level for the last 20, 30 minutes of this 90-minute movie. And you're like, at least you couldn't make at least another 10, 15, 20 minutes of this at this level.
Yeah.
But easier way to say it is, if Act 2 of this movie was as good as Act 3, I would think more highly of the movie overall. And you're right, it wouldn't be as forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it definitely needed a little bit more of a pick me up for what it was doing. And I think you can tell by the subsequent sequels and spinoffs is that it very much like started to devolve, I guess, from where like the first one is. I haven't seen the fourth one, but like, it started to have what I like to call like the not what I like to call, but the law of diminishing returns, right? Where it's like, oh, you had this really solid, cool idea, but every time you went back to it, it just got less and less, to that idea, and it just it's sort of like so like whereas the first one sort of was kind of forgettable, but I reconnected with it. I'm like, oh yeah, I see it. The second one, I'm like, that was even more forgettable. The third one, I don't even remember, and I haven't even gone to see the fourth. So like to me, it's like, yeah, that Nickelodeon humor you're talking about, it becomes way more prevalent.
Yeah,
it just sort of overwhelms the entire film, and like even in the first one, like the basic message is, love yourself, which if you're a kid, you kind of need that message, especially if you're a chubby kid. Like you really kind of need that message. Right. So like on that, I'm like, I love it because it's like that's something. Hell yeah! Like you got a great message for kids. I love that.
Yep.
And like especially now as a parent, like I absolutely love that. Yep. And you got fighting in it. Yeah. Yep. Just give me more of that. It was almost there. It was almost there, but. I think it's a solid, especially for DreamWorks. You could tell from this to not just How to Train Your Dragon, but also like the bad guys. Like they stepped up. They stepped up their animation game a great deal.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's another good scene. It's kind of probably somewhere in the second act. It's when the turtle, Oolong, whatever his name is.
Oogway or something like that.
Oogway, yeah. When Oogway and Shifu are talking, he's like, he's not the Dragon Master or whatever, and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh, but you can make him into it. It's like, no, I can't. Blah 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 blah. And they're having that whole argument, and they're talking about like destiny versus choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the peach tree and the peach pit and that's a very well staged, well paced, well written scene.
Yeah.
And when he's like, he ends up covering up over the peach pit. He's like, but if you love it or you nurture it, it won't turn into an orange tree or an apple tree. It'll be a peach tree. Like it's both and, right? Like there's, you have to see the destiny inside somebody and nurture it.
Yeah.
Right. Which is a great message for parents and for kids, right?
Yeah.
Like the special thing in you is you. You're what's special. But it's got to be cultivated.
And that, again, like that's what sends it over the top is that message for kids and the message for parents. And like the only thing that draws it back is just it doesn't do enough to maintain your attention.
100%.
And then especially if you followed along, you sort of just kind of killed all the excitement for you because like the second one doesn't even have the Furious 5 in it, which I'm like, what? Like,
oh no!
Like, no, like I don't.
Well, that means they couldn't get Angelina Jolie back.
Probably, yeah.
Right. Like, or Seth Rogen, or any of those people.
It costs too much, so it's like
they couldn't even get David Cross back.
Yeah, no, they got a bunch of people who know how to do their voices to go up for an hour and record something and then leave. But yeah, like that's the thing. It's like the diminishing returns on it, like. They've had TV shows now. I didn't even know that. Well, like, yeah, you might have just overkilled on this project that started with a really strong idea that you nailed, you executed to perfection. And you probably this is one of those ones where I'm like, you'd have been okay with just one.
Not when it makes $700 million.
Not when it makes the money that this made. Yeah, no.
All right, so I give this one a 7 out of 10. It's my number 2 for the week.
Nice. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's my number 1 for the week. But
oh my god!
Yeah. This is my number 1 only because
holy so shit!
Bad. Yeah,
E.W. Lundberg is going to be blowing up your fucking inbox, buddy. Holy shit! Lundberg is going to have an earful.
Yeah.
Lundberg just had a fucking coronary listening to this. You heard it here, folks. Phoenix thinks that Kung Fu Panda is better than The Dark Knight.
Yep.
But before we get there, we got to go to the next one. And oh my God, this guy doesn't even like the original trilogy. We're talking about Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which has a 77% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really? That's way higher than I would have thought. That's crazy.
This next level of weapon is ours. It was not made by human hands.
Come on.
Stop, you're gonna go off the road.
Indiana Jones.
Reverse! Put in reverse!
Rated PG-13, May
The
22nd.
film was directed by Steven Spielberg. It was written by David Koepp. So just in case you're excited for that new Jurassic Park movie because David Koepp's coming back, he also wrote this. Story by George Lucas, Jeff Nathanson. It's based on the characters by George Lucas and Philip Kaufman. It's a triumph return of Harrison Ford, Kate Blanchett, Karen Allen, Ray Winston, John Hurt, Jim Broadbent, and Shia LaBeouf. The film was released May 18th, 2008 at Cannes, May 22nd, 2008, United States. On a budget of $185 million, it made $786.7 million. It was the second highest grossing movie of the year. Obviously, an old hero finds himself in a time and plot he doesn't belong. Let's start with the bad. Are you ready?
I already know where this is.
The bad. The open.
The open.
And it's not even just the nuking the fridge. It's before that. I understand what they're attempting to do. They're attempting to introduce us to the old Indiana Jones and the new. This is Indiana Jones in the not the 30s, not the 40s. This is Indiana Jones, the 1950s. And so therefore we have to put into the early part of the movie that this is gonna be a slightly different Indiana Jones adventure, right? And we're gonna deal with the Red Scare instead of the Nazis, and we're gonna deal with aliens. And I think it is a fundamental mistake of the movie to be so explicit about aliens, bar none. I don't think aliens fit into the world of Indiana Jones. I do think there's a way you could have worked an allusion maybe to aliens into Indiana Jones, but showing the alien corpse within the first, and also, I know you don't like Raiders of the Lost Ark. I know you don't like Indiana Jones movies or Indiana Jones as a character. But when the man turns around and steps from the shadows and everything in Raiders is introduced to us, Temple of Doom's the same way, and so is Last Crusade. All the storytelling is done visually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's all of these shots and there's all of this lighting. And, Indiana Jones is the guy with his back towards the camera. He turns around and only his eyes are lit. And he's super intense. He's got the stubble. And he's a man in shadow because he's not really a guy on the up and up. He's a shadowy kind of figure. He's kind of a grave robber. And they go in. He's got the guy with him. And the natives won't go in with him. And they go in. And visually, the sequence of the traps and the tomb raiding on the way in is setting up everything for on the way out, and the betrayal and the double cross and everything that happens. And by the time he gets on that fucking plane, you already know everything about that character. And other than one thing which they subvert in the next scene, everything about that character and what his greatest fear is. And he has maybe 5 lines of dialogue, and it's all done in probably about 10 minutes. This opening sequence has 3 different monologues in it and goes on for 25 minutes.
Oh my God, it's so long.
And that's what, fuck the aliens. They throw in an Easter egg to the Ark, and people say, oh, well, that's cynical. But Indiana Jones movies have always had little Easter eggs here and there, little winks. Even Last Crusade, they're in the tomb of the Crusader, and she's like, well, what's that? And they see a cave drawing. It's the Ark of the Covenant. He goes, Ark of the Covenant. She's like, are you sure? He goes, pretty sure, because he's already had that adventure. They've always done little winks and nods themselves like that. But this is such a lazily done. The crate is kind of open. You kind of see the Ark for like 2 seconds. It cuts away. It's such a half-ass, half-hearted sequence that just goes on forever. There's nothing visually interesting. Spielberg does none of the muscular, athletic, well thought out filmmaking that he was famous for in the 80s. None of it. He sets the camera. Everything is shot medium, close to wide. You have this giant ensemble of people, Everything's CGI behind them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no interesting lighting. You're not communicating anything visually. It's all done through monologues. You hit an action sequence that goes on way too fucking long. You compare that to the scale of a scene like the boulder. It's a massive boulder in this really cool tomb or whatever, but it's just one boulder chasing one guy at a one tomb. Or the Club Obi-Wan at Temple of Doom. Yeah, there's this elaborate Busby Berkeley dance sequence, but the scale is just like the club. It's just a realistic kind of club sequence, and most of the action is taking place at around a dinner table as they're the poison and the diamond, and they're spinning stuff around, and then it's in a ballroom, and then there's a car chase, and they're on the plane, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
The train sequence, the Cross of Coronado, it's his entire fucking prequel is done in 10 minutes. We learn everything about how he got the scar, how he got the whip, where he got the hat, who his dad is, his dad's obsession with the chalice from the Last Supper, to this cold open of him being on the boat with the same guy, and he gets knocked into the water, and that's all done in like 10 minutes.
Right.
And it's all, so much of it is communicated visually. And then you go, oh boy, I'm just going to say it. The scene has been going for 15 minutes. It's still going. We haven't even got to the jet car yet, let alone the test point for the nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And Indy swings the car into a wall of crates, a digital wall of crates that take up the entire fucking screen, and the entire wall of crates explodes for no reason. And you go, this is all wrong. These physics don't make sense. The scale doesn't make sense. And it's at that moment when you're watching it, subconsciously, even if you don't know it, your brain is going, Steven Spielberg doesn't know how to do this shit anymore. And that is, this movie is the turning point from Steven Spielberg, who gave you all the great movies of your childhood, unless you're Phoenix. And the Steven Spielberg who's been making movies your dad's liked for the last 25 years, but is completely irrelevant to the culture. This movie is the crux, because this guy at this moment, at this time, at this film, does not know how to do this shit anymore. He's not, it's not that, and I never would have come at it from this angle before, because I hated this movie. It ruins, this was my Phantom Menace. It ruined this character for me. Blah, blah, blah. Last time I bought a box of these movies, I took Crystal Skull and I threw it in the garbage. And I only had the 3 of the 4. Now I bought the 4K. I'm like, I'm tired of throwing disc in the garbage. So it's in there, but I don't watch it, right? The jet car sequence could have been the payoff for the second act of the movie.
Yeah, probably.
Or should have been the payoff of we should have just got to the jet car, and then that shows you that he's in the 50s because they're developing jet technology and they're out in the desert, and that's it. But instead, it just keeps going on and on and on. And there's this weird beat where Indy realizes that a bomb's going to be dropped. He's on the street in the test neighborhood. There's no Russians anywhere around him. Then he looks, and there's Russians just standing there, and they have him at gunpoint. Then they hear the bomb. Then we never saw them arrive. We never saw them follow him. They just appear. And then they just jump in the car, and he goes, oh, don't forget about me, or whatever. And it's like a punchline for a setup that never happened. But yet the scene, the middle, is still in the movie. There's another sequence where the same thing happens, where Mutt gives him the switchblade. He drops it off of his shoulder. We hear something tear. And then Mutt goes, and Indy goes, oh, shit. And Mutt goes, what? Then Indy just cuts his ropes loose. It's never referenced again.
Yeah.
There's like 4 of those in this movie. And I go, whether you like Temple of Doom, you don't like it, you like it. 1985, 1984, 1989, 1982, Steven Spielberg doesn't have that slop in his movie. He doesn't have a movie where there's just something that was from some cut that was removed that still ends up in that movie. This guy, you'll never be able to convince me otherwise, didn't give a shit about this movie.
It does seem that way. And like, so I was reading on it, and I didn't realize this. Like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was 2008.
Yeah.
The one before it was what? Last Crusade?
Yeah, 89.
That's 19 years.
Yeah, it's almost 20 years. Yeah.
That is disgusting. Like, that is a long time.
It was like 17 years, and then they made another one.
Yeah, that's way too long. That's way too long in between.
Also, like screenwriting 101 here, Phoenix. If you have your titular hero standing in front of an atomic bomb mushroom cloud, 20 minutes into your prologue. Okay, first of all, your prologue is 20 minutes.
Right.
And at the end of your prologue is the hero. There's nowhere to go in the movie.
Exactly.
There's nowhere else to go.
So, like, my thing is, this is why the 19-year gap, I think, makes a big difference, because so many things have changed in filmmaking, in film, in that time span. So trying to revisit this character after that long, not only has the technology changed, but you may have changed. You may want to do
100%, 100%
differently than you did them in the 80s, right? So, like, to me, this movie was Steven Spielberg saying, I want to make a blockbuster film. Like, intentionally saying, I want to make a blockbuster film. Because I feel like when he made Jaws, when he made Raiders, when he made E.T., I feel like he wasn't intending to make a blockbuster. They just ended up being blockbusters. This one feels like him saying, no, I want a big Hollywood blockbuster kind of film, which is, you know, what you kind of want coming 19 years later back to this character.
I want to regain my throne as the king of the box office.
Right.
The biggest character I have in my stable that I could possibly bring back. I'm going to bring back my franchise and reclaim the throne.
And intentionally make a blockbuster.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with that is, like I said, the technology's changed. You've changed as a director. And so your sensibilities are a little skewed, I guess is the way to put it. Yes. And so, like, I knew that this was going in a much different direction from where Raiders was immediately. Like, literally immediately. Probably when I saw the first CGI beaver, I was like, oh,
right.
This is going in a different direction.
Totally different tone, totally different.
Totally different tone. And, like, here's the thing, right? So for me, I saw Raiders. Was not impressed. Very much didn't care for it. My next Indiana Jones film was Dial of Destiny. So I jumped from the very first one to the very last one and was like, yeesh. Like, I have not been treated well in this franchise. Only to come to this one, and I'm like, okay, so we started off with CGI beavers. And then from there, we get middle Ukrainian Kate Blanchett with a rapier. Like,
it's wild.
And I'm just like, okay, at this point, this is where I washed my hands. This is where I was like, oh, okay, I'm settling in for a movie that makes absolutely no sense. And I was like, as long as I can settle into that, I suppose I'll enjoy it. And then we have this egregiously long, I mean, stupidly long, like ungodly long prologue.
That prologue is legitimately a quarter of the length of Raiders.
It's ridiculous, and I'm like, okay, like not only is it stupid long, but like the physics don't make any sense, any sense. And I'm like, look, I struggled with Raiders because I'm like, this is a man who's in a bar getting machine gun shot at him where he has a revolver and he wins, right? I'm like, I struggled in that. And I'm like, now I come to this one, and you mean to tell me all of these guys got guns and he is running on a wooden platform with holes in it, but they can't seem to hit him. Look, I can suspend my disbelief, but you gotta meet me halfway. Like this is crazy. Like I'm like, okay, again, this is where I'm like, I'm settling in for a movie that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
we're talking about the prologue. We haven't even gotten to the rest of the movie yet. Just in the prologue, you gave me multiple people shooting at Indy through a clear staircase that he's somehow avoiding. Yeah. Nobody re-aims to shoot closer. They just keep shooting at the same spot and missing him. Then you have people falling through glass and getting strangled by a chain and surviving. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Nobody's knees ever gets banged up in this. It's crazy. Okay, fine. Then we have him getting in a lead-lined refrigerator, not only surviving a nuclear blast, but he survived when the car that left 5 minutes prior to him gets blown up, like in a car. They were in a car, ladies and gentlemen. They were in a car.
Yeah.
And they died, but Indy survived. Okay, that is just the prologue. That is just.
Well, I think the prologue is everything that's wrong with the entire movie.
Like
here's the secret sauce. I mean, goddamn, I could go on forever with this. Indiana Jones is an homage to the sort of action serials, which is a form of entertainment we don't have anymore.
Yeah, I know.
That people like my dad who were born in the 40s grew up with.
Yeah, that they really super love. I get it.
It was their MCU, right? Mm-hmm. Those were their superheroes.
Right.
So then they made up their own superhero called Indiana Jones, their own James Bond, and it's kind of partly where his origin comes from. Spielberg wanted to do a James Bond, and the Broccoli family wouldn't give them the rights of James Bond. They didn't want Spielberg to direct it, and because they didn't want an American director to direct a James Bond movie. Now they just sold it to Amazon, so it doesn't fucking matter. But so he was kind of down and out about it, and George Lucas said, "Well, I've got this idea I've been working on, and it's better than James Bond, or it'll be better than James Bond. It'll be your version of James Bond." And he kind of pitched the idea, and they worked through it, and blah blah blah, and brought in some other writers, and they made Raiders. And the idea there is like, okay, whatever you want to say about it, yeah, it ends up going by the end in a supernatural direction. There's nothing else really supernatural in that movie until you get to the very end with the Ark of the Covenant, and then God melts all the Nazis' faces. Yes, it's fantastical. It's an adventure movie. He's doing things that human beings shouldn't be able to do, can't be able to. But the difference there is, even when there's a guy under a truck, there's a real guy under a real truck being dragged by that truck for real. It may not be Harrison Ford.
Right.
There's a real fucking guy in a real fucking desert on a real fucking rope being dragged by a real fucking truck. That guy got his ass kicked, by the way. That guy got beat to shit making those movies, right? People got really hurt making those movies because they were really putting their bodies on the line. When it's a CGI refrigerator being flung through a CGI landscape by a CGI atomic bomb and a CGI Harrison Ford falls out of it, what's at stake? What's impressive about
Nothing.
that? Nothing. And the idea was, can you take the kind of cheesiness, almost the quaintness of those old action serials and kind of keep the kitschy appeal of them, but put modern Star Wars polish on it at the same time? So it never feels too big, but doesn't feel too small, right? It's like an updating of this thing from your childhood that you loved, but you don't want to go too far with it because then it becomes something else. And you don't want to make it too cheesy because then it's stupid. It won't work. It's cringe. And I think Spielberg was able in those early movies to find that razor thin line to, if you can jive with it, and especially if you see it when you're 5 years old, you know, you're like, holy shit, you know, and you grow up with it. And you think, oh, wow, it's so cool and all this sort of stuff. And I understand that they went, okay, Indy's in a new era. He's in a new decade, he's a new time. So we can make the movies differently now. I'm going to say you can't. And I'm not one of those people that thinks that franchises can't be updated, except for the fact that I don't think Indiana Jones can be updated.
I don't think so either. Like,
because it's an homage to a very specific time.
Very specific time and very specific period. And like,
you can't just all of a sudden make it a science fiction movie. It doesn't work.
Not just that, but like if you are going to update it, then you have to go all the way. Like, you can't have the swashbuckling, like, you know, B-movie serial style of these 40s types of characters in a movie that takes place
in the 50s and 60s.
In the 50s and 60s,
yeah,
but is really done in like 2008. Like, that's, you know,
it's too much. That's right. It's too much.
It's too much. And like,
we're in 2008 pretending it's the 50s with a character who comes from the 30s.
Really, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like so much time between everything. Like, so it's like, yeah, homie, this is not making sense. And I think that's my disconnect with this character in all of the movies that I've seen so far, is that I never care for Indiana. Like, because there's no reason to. I know he's going to survive whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know he's going to survive whatever. Not just because, you know, I saw the latest movie, you know, saying, you know,
yeah.
But like, because like, not just that, but also because like any real stakes that you put, like, oh my God, okay, I got to talk about this scene. So they're driving opposite cars through the woods or whatever.
Oh man, you're talking about slop. That's the origin of every. That's Marvel right there. Every Marvel movie is that slop right there.
No, like they're not. They can't possibly be this bad. They can't possibly be this bad. Like,
have you seen the recent ones? Have you seen the recent ones?
I haven't seen there's some I skipped, but like seriously, like okay, like
that was terrible, buddy.
No, so bad. It's
the Tarzaning with the monkeys with the pompadours and
I can't. There's nothing in this entire scene. It genuinely feels like, if you do want to compare it to Marvel, I would argue it definitely feels like big budget studio filmmaking. Like, how can we make, you know, a scene more exciting? How can we make a car chase more exciting? It definitely feels like, well, let's just pile on, right? Let's just pile on. Let's have a rapier fight. Let's have, you know, a shootout. Let's have, you know, them teetering on the edge of a cliff. Like, you're doing like 9 different things that
they don't go down one waterfall. They go down 3.
They go down 3. Like you could have saved this for other movies. Like, you could have, you could have parsed this out between 5 or 6 different films. You threw it all in one.
Well, but that's the point of my prologue, the point about the jungle scene.
Yeah.
You can take all of those beats and make one Indiana Jones. Like, you take the prologue, that could be the whole fucking movie.
That could be the whole movie. Like, right? That truly could have been the whole movie. And then,
like, say whatever you want about Raiders, but if they were going to find an alien body in Raiders, they weren't going to find it until the end of Act 3.
Right.
Not at the beginning of the prologue of Act 1. Right? And if you're going to go off 3 fucking waterfalls, you're not going to go off 3. You're going to go off 1 waterfall. And that's probably going to be at the end of the first act going into the second act, maybe.
Maybe.
That's not going to be just one thing in another 25-minute sequence.
It was egregious. And then, like, again, like I said, multiple people with guns shooting at them. They don't get hit at all. But honestly, I think this is where it pissed me off beyond reproach, is because they're literally like, there's like 2 scenes. It's a car full of people, full of Russians with machine guns, and they're in another car. You know what I'm saying? And the only thing that separates them is trees. That's it. Trees and leaves and branches and that's it. Everybody's shooting, and it's not like the car's so far ahead that, you know what I'm saying, they just can't get a distance. Y'all are like neck and neck, and you can't hit nothing. Okay, fine. That's a bit of a stretch, but fine. But then Indy and Mutt are on foot, running beside them as all of these cats have machine guns and they're just missing. Okay, look. And again, I might have gotten on board maybe. If I like just barely, I could have accepted that. Yeah. But then later, when they finally get to the place that they're, I forget what it's called, the temple or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's the Indian guards like hunting them, you know.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden everybody can shoot straight and they kill all of them. I'm like,
correct.
Okay, no. Like that's where I'm like, all right, no, I gotta back out. I'm sorry. No. Like these people were on foot directly in front of you. 18 of you have machine guns and you can't hit shit. But suddenly you can kill all the Indians. No. Go fuck yourself. No.
It's tough, man.
Oh God. I was like, look, I've just accepted that at least from the movies that I've seen, these movies have zero realism in them whatsoever.
Yes.
But this one's
a cartoon.
Man, it's probably worse. This is a joke. This is a joke.
It is
a joke. And it's not funny.
Let me tell you something, man. When I sat there in 2008 and took my dad to this, because my dad loved the original trilogy. He especially loved Last Crusade. And so took him to see this because like I finally get to see one of these movies in the theater with my dad, right? And I'm an adult and I finally got like a kind of a job. And so I'm going to pay for my dad to go see, like, I'm going to pay for my parents to go see this movie because I'm working. And we go see it. And the disappointment that's just by the end of that prologue that just washed over the entire theater when that fridge scene happened. You could feel the audience's heart break. You could feel, because you have to remember, they hadn't fucked up Star Wars yet.
Right.
Well,
right.
They kind of had. They
did the prequels, but
with the Phantom Menace, yes.
Yeah.
Right. But the hope was, okay, they have fucked up Star Wars, but
at least they haven't fucked up Indy.
They haven't fucked up Indy, and Spielberg's not going to let that happen.
Right.
And you're like, oh no, they're doing to Indy what they did to Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this movie felt like.
Yeah.
And then when we got to that fucking jungle scene,
oh Jesus,
it's hard to encapsulate because now it's become so commonplace. It's become so ordinary. It's almost old hat. We were still in the early days of the internet, in the early days of like YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
When that fucking jungle scene happened, the amount of nerd backlash on the internet. I honestly believe the hate campaign against Kathleen Kennedy started with this movie all the way to Star Wars. I think people hated her. I think people hate it's hard to go back in time and try to encapsulate because the outrage, it felt new, it felt fresh that people had a platform finally to be so vocal about, because we didn't have that in 99.
Nah.
But we had it by 2008. We were starting to have it, and people are like, South Park did an entire episode about Indiana Jones being sodomized by Steven Spielberg and George Lucas.
Yeah. That was so good.
Nuking the fridge became a term, right? Like just right. Instead of jumping the shark. Speaking of Lucas, he said this about the movie at the time in 2008 when they interviewed him before the movie came out. Because you're talking about like, did Steven Spielberg want to come back? Blah, blah, blah. He said, I was trying to persuade him, but now Steve is more amenable to doing another one. We still have issues about the direction we'd like to take. I'm in the future. Steven's in the past. He's trying to drag it back to the way they were. I'm trying to push it to a whole different place. So we still have a sort of tension, and this recent one that's going to come out, it's kind of a hybrid of our two different ideas. So we'll see where we're able to take it. And I think that's the thing is like this went back and forth forever, and they had other writers who wrote more conventional, let's say, Indiana Jones movies.
Right.
And George got his feelings hurt because they weren't going to use his ideas. Because George wanted to make a flying saucer movie. Because he was like, well, the 30s and 40s, the action movies and the Nazi movies, those were the popular genres of the time. But by the 50s, science fiction was the popular genre, and it was mostly big monsters and flying saucers. So if it's Harrison's aged 20 years, so it can't be the 30s anymore. We have to set it in the 50s since he's older.
Right.
And so if it's 20 years in the future, we shouldn't be doing B-movie action serials. We should be doing science fiction movies. So therefore it should be, and it originally was like, the movie is going to be called like Indiana Jones and the Flying Saucer Men or something like that.
Oh dear.
They're going to have like a B-movie title for it. It was going to be way more of like him fighting flying saucers and shit. And so I think Spielberg then brought in some other writers to try to bring it back to its roots. So what you end up with is this hodgepodge, like you're saying,
right?
Where we're still doing the swashbuckling, like it's an Errol Flynn movie, but now we're putting all this alien shit in here.
Yeah, and it
just doesn't work.
Yeah, and I'm personally a big fan of aliens. Like, I'm personally a huge fan of aliens, and after
I like aliens too, but I don't necessarily want it in my Indiana Jones movie.
Well, see, that's the thing, because like in Raiders, right, we get this supernatural ending. Yep. In Dial of Destiny, he time travels. So I'm like,
that's pretty fucking out there, though.
Yeah, I'm like, by the time I come to this one, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, aliens? Okay. Like,
I felt the opposite way because people hate the time travel too. I'm like, well, he's already met fucking aliens.
Right.
So like, right. But in 2008, I'm just telling you, we didn't think of him in these terms.
Yeah, because I'm like, I haven't seen Last Crusade. I haven't seen what's the other one? Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom gets pretty fucking wild.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know what he encounters, but I'm like, I'm thinking from the three that I've seen, well, if we got supernatural here, we got aliens here, and we got time travel here, I can only imagine that it's got to be somewhere along the spectrum of weird or out there or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, the thing that's missing in these movies is truly a human villain, like 100% a human adversary. That's what's missing.
No antagonist
for these movies, and they've never done it. Like, they've never done it. Like, even in Dial of Destiny, right, where he does have like a main antagonist. He's not even his antagonist. It's the girl's antagonist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, dude, like, I don't know this. I do not have any attachment to this character whatsoever. Right. I didn't grow up with it. Right. Didn't love it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but as someone who's now seen 3 of these movies, even I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like how hard is it to get this right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like seriously, I shouldn't be someone Johnny come lately coming out here telling you, like, how are you fucking this up this badly? Like, seriously, like, get it together, man. Like, it was crazy.
So I think part of the appeal of Indiana Jones, this isn't like a major appeal, but part of it is that the character is like, he's a guy who's always getting himself or getting thrown into the mix.
Mm-hmm.
It's never really, because he's kind of like a Humphrey Bogart type. So it's not, the fight's never really exactly directly his. He's always got some other kind of agenda, which is usually just getting some kind of artifact and getting it to a museum and making some money, right? But there's something that happens that throws him into the mix, and he has to get involved. And so, you know, with Raiders, there is an antagonist there for him with Belloc.
Right.
And then he hates Nazis, and there's the creepy Nazi guy, you know, the weird, creepy Weasley Nazi. And then there's definitely, I mean, antagonist in Temple of Doom that he faces off against. And there is one in Last Crusade, but Last Crusade's it's closer to Raiders. This one, I don't know, man. Like, okay. My dream scenario when I watched Dial of Destiny was, and then we got to move on because we got the Dark Knight still to talk about.
Right.
My dream scenario was I sat there and watched Dial of Destiny. I said, if you could take the best parts of Dial of Destiny and get rid of all the excess shit, and I would say he should not literally time travel.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to open a portal in the sky and the Nazis get sucked into a portal, okay, that's fine.
I guess.
But he should not go to ancient Greece. I'm sorry. That's a step too far. Thematically, it kind of makes sense because he's always been a man who really preferred the past to the present, and now he is the future. And he feels, I get it, but it just doesn't fit. But to the best parts of Dial of Destiny and some of the good parts, because there's a couple of good parts. Here's what I'll say. There is not an action sequence in Dial of Destiny that is as good as the chase sequence on the campus from this movie.
That is true. That is true.
So if you could take the strengths of this movie, and this movie relies less on CG, even though it's got that egregious jungle fight, there's more practicality to it. And it's more believable with a 60-year-old Harrison Ford that he feels like he's too old and the university wants to toss him out. Maybe he was accused of being a communist, right, during the Red Scare, kind of like what they kind of fame but don't really do here. So he's forced to retire from academia. He no longer has his dad or friends. He's kind of down on his luck, and one last adventure sort of calls him. And if he had to go to Peru to find the Dial of Destiny because his mentor, one of his mentors, or someone he was friends with, who turned out to be his goddaughter's, right? Like if you took these two storylines and shoved them together, you'd probably have one decent Indiana Jones movie.
Maybe. I don't know. Like,
I'm not going to spend the time like hashing the entire thing out. If you replace Mutt with Helena, you'd have to do a lot of switching around.
Yeah.
The
also,
other thing,
what a waste of Jim Broadbent, man. Like I was like,
waste.
When I saw his name in the credits, I was like, "Oh, sweet! Like, oh, cool! I can't wait to see what he does." He's got 2 whole scenes, bro. It's trash.
Also, like, couldn't you, if we're gonna do a Crystal Skull, because that's a real historical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna do a Crystal Skull, do we need to see the full CGI alien, or could it have been enough that the Crystal Skull maybe like melts her brain or shit? I don't think we ever needed to see a live alien.
I don't think it matters at that point
because you never see Yahweh come out of the ark.
I think at that point it had it jumped the shark 9 times before we even got to that point.
You're right.
So yeah, it was a waste. It was a lost cause by then. Honestly, I would put this lower, but I hate Mamma Mia so much.
On this rewatch, I don't know. I think the standard of movie has gotten so low, and there's been so many misfires of so many franchises that I could probably swap this or Mamma Mia. It'd be interchangeable to me.
Yeah.
I have this at 3 with a 6.25.
That's way too high. I got this at a 5. Yeah, honestly, I got Mamma Mia at a 5 too. These things could be interchangeable, depending on the day. One could be in 5th, the other could be in 4th. These are really bad. These are really bad movies. I don't know what was in the water in 2008 that made people go, I'm gonna spend hundreds of millions of dollars seeing Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull and fucking Mamma Mia. Like,
but here's the thing, man. I don't know that we've
ever drinking before you get to the movies, please.
I don't think we ever left this template. I think this is what Hollywood. This is the precursor to where we are today.
It is, which is you could argue it's the precursor for, not necessarily. Well, yeah, I would argue modern day Hollywood blockbusters.
That's my point.
Yeah, but like in terms of like filmmaking, I think we have evolved. I think we do have some genuine like gems out there. Sure. It's just like if you ask the casual moviegoer, you know what I'm saying, they have no idea. Like they know that everything is trash. and that's a fair assessment if you're not actively looking for the true gems.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to a movie that apparently Phoenix does not care for. Another one at 94% on Rotten Tomatoes, The Dark Knight.
I have one rule. Tonight you're gonna break your one rule. I'm counting on it.
Where is he? Why so serious? Know your limits, Master Wayne.
Batman has no limits.
The Dark Knight, rated PG-13, in theaters and IMAX July 18th.
Dark Knight, of course, was directed by Christopher Nolan. It was written by him and his brother, Jonathan Nolan. That's the one that isn't British.
Mm-hmm.
They're brothers. Explain that to me. Atheist. It's a story by Christopher Nolan and David S. Goyer. It's a triumphant return of Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Heath Ledger, Gary Oldman, Aaron Eckhart, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Morgan Freeman, many more. This one was released July 14th, 2008 in New York City, July 18th, 2008 across the United States, and July 25th, 2008 in the UK. On a budget of $185 million, it made $1.006 billion with a B. The worldwide box office. The Nolan brothers try to write their own version of Heat, but are terrible at monologues. Can I get some pet peeves off my chest?
You first? Go for it.
I got a pet peeve about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Couple. When a Joker puts that smoke grenade in that guy's mouth, why doesn't he spit it out? Even if he's paralyzed from the gunshot, why doesn't he just spit it out? Why does he sit there and cry with it in his mouth like that at the beginning? And I'll tell you something that has bothered me even since I was a fanboy caping for this movie and would have told you at 24, 23 years old that this was a 10 out of 10 movie and one of the greatest motion pictures ever made by anybody.
Mm-hmm.
When the Joker pulls the bus out of the bank, it needs to be the last bus, not the one with two more behind it. Because didn't the bus drivers immediately behind him see him pull a fucking bus out of a goddamn bank as debris is falling off the back of it?
Maybe not. Who knows?
That has bothered me since 2008. This near perfect sequence, or so I thought at the time of this opening prologue, much faster than the Indiana Jones one, by the way.
Right.
And then you end it with the fucking thing pulls out into traffic right in front of the other school buses. No, it doesn't raise any alarm bells. Also, here's some more pet peeves.
Oh, nice.
Dent doesn't know that Gordon isn't dead.
Mm-hmm.
Gordon doesn't know that Dent is going to turn himself in.
Mm-hmm.
Neither does Bruce. Bruce knows that Gordon isn't dead, but he doesn't know that Dent is going to turn himself in.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't know that the Joker is going to demand that the Batman reveal his identity.
Right.
So what was the original plan with Gordon faking his death?
Okay. I don't think there was one. I think it was sort of like trying to beat Joker at his own game. So
Gotcha.
like, you know what I'm saying? Sort of looking at it like, this is someone who likes to cause chaos. Let's let him think he's won. And then make him realize like all of a sudden, like, no, you actually didn't win. So your anarchic plans are, faulty.
Right.
I don't think it did what they thought it would do, but whatever.
Right.
So here's my history with this movie. I went and saw this in the theaters. I had no idea it was a part of a trilogy. I had no idea. Yeah. So
you're a weird cat, man.
Yeah.
You didn't know that there was a Batman Begins?
I had no idea there was a Batman Begins. All I knew was that there was a new Batman movie out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go see it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old I was in 2008. It was 17 years ago. So I was dumb. Okay.
Right.
But even as a dumb kid, I was like, I hate this movie. I genuinely hated it.
Wow.
Yeah. And like, I hated it for two reasons. One, I found out later, but instantly when I saw it in theaters, I fucking hated that grovelly fucking voice that Christian Bale did. I despised it. I thought it was
I'm
so
not wearing hockey pads.
Oh my God, I hate it so much.
Yeah.
And like, I found out later, he literally started that in this movie. He didn't do it at all in Batman Begins.
Nope.
So I was like, so you telling me like this wasn't an initial character trait? You just decided to do you bastard. So like, I hated that. Number two, and more importantly, I really do not like the casting of Christian Bale as Batman. I think he's a terrible fit. It's just I tried explaining this to other people and they all just look at me like I'm crazy. But I don't like his facial structure. Just screams villain. It doesn't scream hero. So I'm like, seeing him as Batman or Bruce Wayne, I'm like, no, dude, I would look at you and think you're a criminal. Like, that's the only vibe I get from you. So, like, even though I did later go back and watch Batman Begins, and it turns out I actually really love Batman Begins. That's actually my favorite of this trilogy.
I think there's an argument to be made that Batman Begins is, at the very least, a better Batman movie than this is.
Yeah. I really love that movie.
It's a good
But,
movie.
like, by the time we get to this one, like, this may seem like sacrilege to most people, but I'm like, even though Christian Bale played Bruce Wayne in Batman Begins and did a pretty great job, I would argue, by the time we get to this one, I think it would have been better if him and Aaron Eckhart swapped. Like, I think it would have been great if Aaron Eckhart had played Bruce Wayne.
No.
And Christian Bale played Harvey Dent. I think that would have worked so much better.
You ready for my hottest take?
What's that?
This is where we're going to diverge. There's been something subconsciously bothering me about this movie for years now.
Mm-hmm.
And it finally occurred to me as I was watching it this time. I'm going to try and make this not an accusation. There are very bad performances in this movie.
Yes, thank you, God.
There are bad side character performances.
Many.
There are bad minor character performances.
Oh my God.
He told us we don't have to be afraid.
No.
We don't have to listen to scum like you. We don't, all of this, it's every random citizen of Gotham who speaks at any point in this movie. Things are only getting worse. Are terrible, laughable performances.
Oh my God.
The random subplot about the guy who's not the Riddler, but maybe was supposed to be the Riddler.
Oh yeah. Oh my
Mr.
God.
Reese,
Totally
who's going to blackmail Bruce Wayne. It's completely unnecessary. We didn't need any of that in this movie. I still don't have really any idea why Anthony Michael Hall is in this movie. He's not good in it. I think Maggie Gyllenhaal is fucking atrocious in this movie.
Thank you, God.
I think her performance is horrendous.
Yes.
Their first line in the movie where she says, and Harvey, Alfred's a good friend. Go easy on him. It is shit tier acting.
Yeah, it's not.
She doesn't have a believable line delivery in this entire film. And even though I know what they're going for, where they're going for like he's such an over-the-top golden child sort of performance, I think Aaron Eckhart is woefully miscast as Harvey Dent. I think his performance is awful. I don't think Two-Face should be in this movie at all. I think the last 40 fucking minutes of this movie is actively bad. The Harvey Dent stuff stinks, and Gordon's final speech.
Mm-hmm.
This guy takes the time. His wife and his two small kids have been taken hostage at gunpoint, and he has enough presence of mind to deliver a fucking Independence Day, Bill Pullman as president level speech off the cuff about he's not the hero we need, but he's the one that Gotham deserves. He'll endure because he can take it. He is the Dark Knight. And then it ends. It's such a corny written, badly performed, badly read fucking speech that I hated it from the moment I saw it in the theaters. The moment the Joker is captured on that high rise, and I'll even make this argument. I think that entire clown hostage sequence in the unfinished building with the Joker trying to get the people to blow each other up. after the hospital sequence where he blew up the entire hospital, the movie has spent all of its capital. The movie blows its load an hour before it's done.
Yeah.
But it still has to wrap itself up because it hasn't tied anything up yet.
It hasn't tied anything up yet.
So we have to go through another hour of lackluster performances and lackluster action sequences to get to it. And the moment that Heath Ledger is removed from this movie, you see how shitty the movie actually is.
Oh, thank you.
And here's my accusation. My accusation is I think Christopher Nolan was so preoccupied with the technical specs of this movie that he put absolutely no effort into directing the actors. And I don't know that Christopher Nolan knows how to direct actors, because I think he sees people, especially women, as action figures or pawns on a chessboard that he moves around. I think he's more interested in the technical aspects of shooting scenes and what lens is on the camera and what the optics are and what the frame rate is and what the aspect ratio is and the mechanics of his overly complicated, convoluted plots that him and his brother love to cook up but aren't smart enough to think through all the holes they create. They just get Hans Zimmer to paper mache over all the plot holes with some repetitive, mindless fucking score that they crank up to 11 or 12 in all of their goddamn movies. Where you can barely even hear the dialogue, because if you heard it, you'd realize how shit it is. Nobody talks like this. Nobody acts like this. The cuts in this movie are bizarre. I think this is a badly edited movie, to be honest with you.
Oh my God. Homie, are we kindred spirits? Like, what? Oh my God.
Save Indiana Jones. I think we might be.
Yeah, I'm like, because I swear I went and saw this movie in theaters and I walked out going, that was terrible. Like, that was so bad. Like, to me, the only good thing about it was Heath Ledger. Like, I was like, full stop. I can accept that, everybody's got a different taste, but I'm like, I think objectively we all agreed Heath Ledger.
Yes.
Of course, above and beyond.
Yeah.
Slayed that role. No question about it. And that was my main takeaway. Like, that was the greatest aspect of that movie. Everything he did with the Joker was absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Everything else was middling as hell. Like, genuinely middling as hell.
I think that's a better way of putting it than to say, I don't think the movie is terrible. I think outside of Ledger, it's middling.
Yes. I was like, and talk about gaslighting, you know what I'm saying? I felt that way. I still feel that way. And every time I mention it, everybody's like, "You're crazy. It's the greatest movie of all time. It's the greatest." And I'm like, agree to disagree, but just know I vehemently disagree. Like, it has one killer. No, I can't say one. It has about 3 killer aspects to it. The sound design is incredible.
Yes.
The visuals are astounding. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Yes.
But like the biggest takeaway is Heath Ledger's performance. And
when you want to talk about filmmaking, Nolan's level and craftsmanship as a filmmaker in this film versus Batman Begins, he has so leveled up.
Oh, it's crazy.
As a filmmaker, it's crazy. It doesn't even sound like the same guy.
Right.
But that's a better Batman movie.
Easily.
It's got a better story. I think it's got a better script. It's got better characters. It's got consistent performances.
Yeah, it honestly kind of upset me. Like, even though I think Heath Ledger is amazing in this.
Yeah.
But when I finally went back and saw Batman Begins, I was really upset that Scarecrow wasn't in the sequel. I was like,
well, he's in it. He's got a little cameo in the beginning.
Yeah, he's got a little cameo, but it's bullshit. I'm like, you did such a great job.
I agreed. With
that characterization of him, of how Cillian Murphy played him. He was fantastic.
Well, I'll tell you, in 2008, what we thought was when he shows up, because this is olden times, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Olden superhero movies, when typically the villain died at the end of the superhero movie, right?
Usually, yeah.
Right. But say they didn't die, didn't matter. They went to prison, you never saw them again. Oh, they went to Arkham Asylum. They were never even referenced in another movie, right? So just the idea, this was how radical it was, that Nolan would have Scarecrow appear again, blew our fucking minds.
I guess, yeah.
Because between 2005 and 2008, no movies were doing that. There's no continuity between Batman and Batman Returns, or Batman Returns and Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Yeah. They're not even in the same fucking universe. They're not
the same universe.
Right. They're like, the fact that the villain of the last one of the villains, shows up in this one, it also led us to believe, well, then he may be the main villain again in the third one, or maybe him and Joker will team up. Because remember, Heath isn't dead yet, or before the movie comes out, and then he dies, and all the other thing that this movie had in 2008 was, I was not as familiar with, nor do I think a lot of us were, of Nolan's what I would just call tricks. And since he's continued to make movies, including the next one of these, and all the subsequent movies he's made, you start to learn his tricks. You start to learn the crutches that he leans on. You start to learn his limitations as a filmmaker. I didn't have any of that in mind in 2008. All I knew was somebody was finally taking my love of very well-produced, well-made, well-directed movies and a superhero that I loved, and they were putting them together.
Yes.
And so that really kind of blinded me to a lot of the flaws of the movie. And then you stick smack dab in the middle of that. Somebody's finally taking Batman genuinely seriously. And it's not overly gothic. It's like in the real world. And again, we're coming off of Batman and Robin, all this corny shit. So we really wanted, like, quote unquote, an elevated, gritty, realistic, grounded Superman, or Batman rather. Right.
And
so it pushed a lot of buttons that only made sense in 2008, but now you watch it in 2025, and I think I can see now more of the middling parts of it that were actually there all along.
Yeah, and like for me, it was just, like I said, there were aspects of it I was blown away by. I was blown away by Heath Ledger. I was blown away by the
you really thought Heath Ledger was so good in that movie in 2008. You really thought this guy might kill Batman by the end of this movie. He really got you believing that anything could happen. He felt dangerous.
It wasn't even just that. Like, he portrayed the Joker the way we, like, as much as you like would say, oh, this is the Batman I've always wanted to see. That was the Joker we've always wanted to see.
And nobody saw it coming because it was Heath Ledger.
Because it was Heath Ledger. They thought, saying, like, this is a pretty boy. How is he going to play?
This is A Knight's Tale.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Right. How's he gonna play this psychotic villain? And he literally brought the best version of Joker alive, because when you really break it down, especially when you try to make it very realistic, Joker is an anarchist. He's an anarchist without a plan. So he's literally just insane. Like, nothing matters. All he cares for is chaos. Like, the scene of him burning the money, I was like, why am I bricked up right now? Like, it was so like perfect.
That was wild, wasn't it?
It was perfect, because it was like,
he burns.
Oh my God.
He did all of that shit, went through all of that to get half their money, and just so he could burn it in front of them.
Just so he could burn it. And I was like, it's such a sick visual.
Yes.
Because, like, especially if you, like, if you're, poverty stricken like me, you know what I'm saying? Like, seeing a huge pile of cash just go up in flames, like, a part of you dies. You like, how could you? Like, but at the same time, you're like, that is a level of twisted.
Yes.
That I don't think, like, it's the perfect encapsulation of who the Joker is. Yes. That he could take this gigantic pile of money. He went through all of what he went through to get that gigantic pile of money just to set it on fire. That is crazy. That is craziness on an epic scale. That
burned half of dude's money in front of them, then stole his dogs.
In front of him. Then
stole his dogs. Then fed him to his dogs.
It's like, no. It's like honestly, it was like, man, I wish Heath hadn't passed.
Yes.
Like, because I'm like, there's so many things I would like. He'd probably be to this day answering questions about that performance. Like,
yes, he definitely would. Yeah.
Yeah, like, because it went to so many places where.
Well, the plan was he was supposed to be in the next one.
Nah, that makes sense.
And they didn't.
That's why this next one sucks.
Next is horrible. But yeah, that's why Nolan, and he will admit now that he was like, he didn't really want to make. He's like, I couldn't imagine making one of these without Heath.
Mm-hmm.
So we like basically found a way to do it to fulfill our contract, but it wasn't the same. It just it took the juice out from him. It just
absolutely,
it was a horrible tragedy. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I think this is a dog shit movie. That's not true. I just have, in retrospect, I'm more aware of its weaknesses. I think its weaknesses are greater than I would have thought almost 20 years ago. I think also, now that I go back almost 20 years ago and I look at the world that Nolan created in Batman Begins, or in his team, and the fact that this movie seemingly takes place in a completely different city.
Mm-hmm.
This Gotham is just Chicago. Like the Narrows, like they do a little bit of it when they're doing the chase scene. They have to go down and they go kind of back in the Narrows, and the lighting goes back to that kind of rusty brown Batman Begins lighting.
Mm-hmm.
That's it though. Then they're immediately back up top with the helicopter and the come on, hit me, all that shit. It's like it so deviates from everything they set up. Up to and including completely damn near retconning Rachel's character.
Oh God.
To the point where she like doesn't kind of barely remember promising him that she'd wait for him to not be Batman. And she's like, actually, I'm fucking this other guy and I'm going to marry him. And
oh my God. That's something I've literally tried to forget. Okay.
The Batman Begins ends with Katie Holmes being like, maybe, right? It's not a promise. It's like, maybe if you learn to be Bruce again, we can be together.
Right.
This movie, he goes, okay, if Harvey does what Batman can't do, there won't be a need for Batman. And I could be Bruce again. And we could be together. And she's like, nah, I'm good.
Nah, I'm cool. And like, listen.
Then they just blow her up.
Listen.
That character sucks.
Dude, like part of what I liked about Batman Begins is Katie Holmes as Rachel Dawes. I actually really like Katie Holmes. I think she's a fantastic actress. She fit that character. That character is underwritten as hell, even in Batman Begins.
Yes.
Underwritten. But holy fuck, is she more developed in Batman Begins?
She's not even a person in this movie.
Dude, like she might as well be a piece of paper. Like she is.
There's a girl who goes into the Narrows to rescue children while the fear toxin is blowing up and driving people insane. Is that the same girl that's in this movie? The same woman?
No. Like, and again, for someone who
Harvey, you make your own luck.
Right.
Fuck
like for someone who saw Dark Knight first, right? And I'm watching.
You had to be like, what the fuck happened to this?
Like, dude, I'm watching Maggie Gyllenhaal. I'm like, no, but like, I'm like, this character is really, really poorly written. Then to see Batman Begins, I'm like, who the it's like, and then I put it together. I was like, wait, is this supposed to be the same No, this does not work. It is shit on a shingle. I'm sorry. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why we don't have Katie Holmes in the sequel.
I don't know either.
Yes, something must have gone wrong. I don't know. But I don't know why we were replacing Katie Holmes with Maggie Gyllenhaal. Like, nothing against her, but like, at least get another brunette. Like, at least make it make sense. Have some continuity. It blows my mind.
With as underwritten and poorly served as Rachel's character is in The Dark Knight, why is she even in it at all? It's only for there to be a love triangle with Harvey Dent, but I don't even feel like that's necessary.
It's like it's supposed to add an element of drama for this character, but again, not only is Rachel underwritten, and this is just me, people will argue with me, but Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne is also underwritten.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
That's why I think like so many of the side characters that are in this movie like are just kind of meh, because it's like we don't have much to go off of with Bruce. Like
they're just monologuing at him.
Yeah. And like he literally like obviously I hate to do the comparison game, but like when so many people have played this character, they've played Bruce Wayne and Batman, they do bring something unique to it every time. To me, Christian Bale has like, I know Christian Bale is a great actor. I know that. I've seen Christian Bale deliver great performances. I know he can act his ass off. Here, I don't know if it's the script or if it's him, but there's nothing in it, in this performance or in the script, that is making me believe he's philanthropist billionaire Bruce Wayne during the day and vigilante crime fighter.
I think you got more of a sense of that in Begins, and he was barely Bruce Wayne in Begins.
Exactly. Like at least in Batman Begins, like when he's training, like when he's doing his training, I'm like, okay, I see it. I see how he makes that transition.
But also in Batman Begins, you have the whole subplot of where he meets Lucius Fox. He's got the whole thing with Rutger Hauer. He tries to get control of his company back.
Right. Yeah, he's got a lot. He's spending a lot more time as Bruce Wayne.
Correct.
And you're like, okay, cool. And then when he does finally make that transition, I think one of the first things he says, like when he flies in, is like, nice coat or something like that. Yeah. I'm like, dude, like, I was like, why am I fully on board with this Batman? Like immediately, I'm fully on board with this Batman. And then we come here, and I don't know if it's the voice, I don't know if it's the underwritten script.
It's all of it. Yep.
Yeah, I never connected with this cat. Never connected with him.
Here's what I feel like. I feel like Christopher Nolan was enamored with the bigger budget and the ability to shoot in Chicago with IMAX cameras and all, and I'm not underselling that. That's very involved, very difficult, scientific level expertise, artistry.
Right.
And he was successful at all of that. He did it. It's great. And I feel like his brother and Goyer, they're enamored with the Joker.
Yeah, because they gave him the best stuff.
All the best stuff.
All the best stuff.
And nothing else. Gotham isn't served.
No.
Gordon, they try to do something with Gordon. It doesn't really, Gordon isn't served. Harvey Dent isn't served. Bruce Wayne isn't served. Rachel isn't served. Nothing else is served. The technical aspects are served. That's where all the energy goes into. And the Joker. That's it.
That's it. And I mean, that's great. And I think all of that's good for a good film. I don't think it's anywhere near greatest film of all time. It's certainly nowhere near greatest comic book film of all time. Like, you know, people will flame me for this, but this came out in the same year as Iron Man. I think Iron Man is a better movie. I think
holy shit.
I think it's a better character. Like, think about it. In like the first 10 minutes, you know who Tony Stark is. You know exactly what he's done and why he's being held captured. They get that done in 10 minutes. And then you see how cool Tony Stark is for like 20 minutes after that.
I will say this. If you're going to stick a billionaire in Afghanistan in a hole and make him a slave so he has to come back with a new set of morals, Iron Man did it better than The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes. Just, you know what I'm saying? I think that's a fair way to go.
All right. I give this one an 8 out of 10. And it is my number one for the week, but it's not going to be your number one. So what's your score?
It is a 7 out of 10 for me. It is my number 2. And that's only because the rest of them are just so bad.
All right. It's time for a recap. Coming in dead last for me is Hancock, which is a 3 out of 10. Mamma Mia, 6 out of 10. Crystal Skull, 6.25 out of 10. Those two are interchangeable to me. Kung Fu Panda, 7 out of 10. And The Dark Knight with an 8 out of 10. What's your recap?
My recap is Mamma Mia and or Indiana Jones in 5th and 4th, both coming in at a 5 out of 10. Hancock at 3, coming in at 6 out of 10. Dark Knight at number 2, 7 out of 10. And Kung Fu Panda, number 1, 8 out of 10.
Well, Phoenix, it's been 5 hours of controversy. Only 3 of them have been recorded. Only an hour of it's going to make it to air. But when you're not busy yapping with me about the end of democracy, where can we find you on the internet? What fascist oligarch website are you currently still on?
I am still on YouTube, actually.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that is where
that's alphabet fascism.
Yeah, exactly. This is the cute kind. That is where I am doing my musical theater podcast. It's called Curtain to Curtain. If you want to look it up, check us out. We are also on Blue Sky, so follow us there. I will be starting, hopefully soon, definitely this year, my own film talk channel on YouTube. So stay tuned for that. I pray that it goes well. I pray that I'm consistent. That's the word. We got to be consistent in 2025. The word of the year. So check me out on YouTube. That's where I'll be spending most of my time in this year and hopefully in future years.
Well, buddy, I love talking to you on and off mic, and we're just down the road from each other. So anytime I get a chance to talk to you, means the world to me. You're never shy and always original. Never derivative. You're not derivative of anybody I've ever met. And if you are, you're doing a good job of faking it. You just are who you are, man. And we need more people in the world like that. So
I agree. I'm an angel. We've discussed
That's
this.
right. That's right. You're an angel. Some people called you a god. Once you get around those white women, your only weakness. Once you get around that milk, man.
Oh man, I am lactose intolerant. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my god,
those girls from Parma, man, they'll fuck you up. Am I lying?
Hey, listen, I fell for it myself once or twice. I already know.
All right, everybody. If you haven't canceled us already, go find Phoenix online. Flame him about The Dark Knight. You can find me on Blue Sky, Letterboxd at Binge Movies. Both those places. Email the show, bingemovies@gmail.com. Support the Patreon, patreon.com/binge movies. And until next time, binge on.